Dear YouTube, man, I'm digging into this. Lil Zay Osama, man. Wack100, he going in on Lil Zay Osama. Saying, you know what I'm saying? He said Lil Zay ain't do the time. He only got a little bit of time for his gun case, man. He had 3 gun cases or 2 gun cases. And he only did a little bit of time.
We need answers to the exposures. And now we own your partner. What's your turn-in date? We can make it happen, little boy. In this same comment section, a nice pleasant white lady that looked like she dodges through the meadows, gathering flowers. Lavender, by the way. A nice white woman would comment in the same comment section. She would say, I don't listen to this, but I respect anyone who comes direct. Wack been pillow talking for years. And of course, Mr. Wack100 would comment under her comment and say, at 2014, on Paul Rue, he has 2 to 3 gun cases, machine guns. He has no time on 2023 and a switch in NY. Oh, Paul Rue, they give you 3 to 5 for a 38. 14 months after you got prize with a machine gun. Now, he worked. Now, one thing I like about Wack is he's consistent with the exposure. It don't seem like he has no, I don't know, incentive to do this. I don't even think he gets paid, bro. He just let us eat off of it. So to me, it's very, very funny. And just in case y'all was wondering where all this stemmed from, I definitely have the original clip of Wack100 questioning Lil Zay Osama's paperwork for y'all to trip. I just had to go ahead and let y'all know the after effect of Wack100 running that stuff out of mouth. I think that boy Lil Zay Osama gonna get up with him, man, when you get out. But let me go ahead because this clip gonna come on back, gonna chop it up, and you ain't gonna end this thing on that.
Lil Zay Osama's a rapper from Chicago. He got caught with a switch in New York and ended up getting a year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we looking in here. Something ain't looking right. We got all this paperwork.
What's the part that's not looking right? 1090J put out a video earlier basically saying that because he has a minimal criminal history prior to this, that it's not that surprising.
1090's done. Oh. I just don't understand why Wack won't just let his own videos fly when people are trying to expose him. If there's no truth to it, bro, stop sending cease and desist letters and let them fly out and let us come to our own conclusions, man.
Oh, really?
We got his whole rap sheet.
Okay.
Dude got caught with machine guns prior to. He was on probation out here in California. He had like 2 gun cases prior to, serious gun cases, right? And then get caught with a switch in New York City.
Left it in the
They're giving you 3 to 5 mandatory for a regular gun. You get caught with a switch. You got prior cases that get caught with machine guns up in Illinois. We got the content.
We got the response from Lil Zay Osama I could read.
What, from on us?
Well, I'll just go to the 1090J video because I know he has it at the end.
I'm being lavish about that. There we go, right? Well, we got to work.
So that's...
Hey, where he be getting the work from? I need somebody to jump in the comment section and let me know who it is to be providing this paperwork. If we didn't pull that paperwork up on you at Cash Jones. And stop flagging the videos. I'm not saying you were rat. I'm just saying that there is no truth to when people do videos about you, then let them rock, bro, just for the enjoyment of YouTube. And since you part of the exposures, let's just go comb through your paperwork, make sure everything okay. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't want no president to be president. If we knew he did some treason and stuff with Cuba, we got to look into your paperwork to make sure that you're qualified for the position that you're in.
So come on, paperwork. Here's his statement that he put out. He said, "Stop believing everything you hear or see on the internet. You really think you can get 30 years for a switch? Hell no. I don't care what state you in, facts, but switches is dangerous and carry 3 or 4 years, maybe less, depending on your background. But they become a problem in a lot of cities, so it might be worse for you. Different strokes for different folks. I count a blessing. Don't look at my situation and think you need a switch because it can end bad for you. Stop playing with snitching for real. Have 1090J look up my switch case in New York."
Okay.
What about that is factually incorrect?
Let's go prior to January 24th, 2024. A grand jury sitting in Eastern District of New York returned 2-count indictment, right? Charging Dukes with possession of a machine gun in violation of 18 USC and possession of unregistered firearm in violation of 26 USC. That's that, right?
That sounds like a switch case. Yeah.
So we scroll down here, right?
Amazon Black Friday week is here.
Yeah, what could you potentially discover that would make you sure that he told?
Okay, watch this. All right. In 2022, Duke was convicted in Illinois of unlawful possession of a firearm, right?
Okay.
And sentenced to 1 day of incarceration. Right? In that case, he was a passenger in the car with evading police officers trying to stop him, right? Or traffic infraction, right? After the officers ended their pursuit, The car collided with another vehicle. Duke was arrested after fleeing, and police officers found 2 firearms in the car. So everybody gonna get that too. All right. All right, watch this. In 2023, prior to 2024, Duke was convicted in California for evading a police officer, felony. He was sentenced to 1 day in custody, another one, and 2 years of probation. Duke's term of probation is set to expire April 2025, which means when he get caught with this switch, right? He didn't
on probation.
He's on probation, right? Hold on, we got some. All right, watch this. In addition, in Illinois, in 2023, he was charged with possession of a loaded machine gun. Theft of stolen goods exceeding 10,000, but not more than 100,000, and possession of a firearm, right? With a deep-based serial number. Everybody know you got caught with a machine gun and another firearm with the serial numbers go. We got double fed up. It's 2023, right? Right? 2023, this happens. Then you come to California, 2023, catch evading the police, catch probation. Then in 2024, you go to New York, a state that's serious about guns, get caught with a switch, and get 14 months in the feds. Hey, listen, man. Hey, I ain't gonna say it. Y'all heard it. I got to work. I will put the work up, right? Just so you know, you can read who paperwork that is.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. At the end of the day, when people see these type of things, boom, 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 and you end up with 14 months, you didn't already just previously got caught with a machine gun and another blick with the serial numbers scraped off, that's feds. Then you come to California, catch evading, and then you get a probation state on it, a probation situation. Then you go to New York and get caught with a switch. New York give me 3 to 5 men for a 6-shot 38.
So, are you going to be able to provide anything that really?
I'm gonna put the work up. Dude need to show us how are you keeping from catching the time you're supposed to catch when anybody else is caught with these things. Quick Man got caught with a gun that didn't even work.
The ghost gun.
And got 33 months.
Yeah.
He ain't never got caught with a gun prior to a machine gun, a gun with serial numbers.
He had all kinds of gun cases.
Yeah, but he went to the pen.
Right.
This dude is he ain't doing no time. Quick Man went to the pen. He's not doing no time. And the first time he does some time, 14 months on a switch after you just got caught with a machine gun and another pistol with shade serial numbers in Illinois in 23.
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, just the years for the switch sounds like a lot less than we're used to hearing people get.
Hey, look, man, go on somewhere. If you're going to get mad about it, get mad at yourself first.
Does it ever feel like a weird pastime for you, though, to be like basically creating beef with all these different rappers?
There ain't no beef. You got to beat the truth. It never be considered disrespect. You got beef for me reading your paperwork, this public record, and that's on you.
Hey, man. I think I did Lil Zay Osama's first interview. I'm a fan. I think his music is good. So I hope that he perseveres through this, and I hope that he's able to stay on the right side of the exposure.
I mean, you're
not saying that there's much hope. You think it's pretty much a done deal?
Yo, listen, they still digging. You know what I'm saying? The research team is doing their thing.
How do they dig? To a lot of Googling or what?
No, they go right into the system.
Okay.
Yeah, go right into the system. Look, it's one of the research team. Bam, see that?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's the paperwork that you just.
That paperwork, yeah, it's work everywhere. Everybody see there's more work.
Right.
Look, it's big meech work. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's work. We got work. That's the paperwork with big meech. Big. Now, if you ask me, wack100 does a lot of good flex. You see what I'm saying? Now, wack, because I know you've been watching my video. This is what I suggest. Man, let your paperwork come out in the open. We want to see that paperwork with the CO2 back, the CS2. We want to see all the work, bro. You say you need exposures. Stop flagging people channels whenever that paperwork comes up. So I'm saying, let us see that be an open book, be transparent. Just like how you exposed everybody, J exposing everybody. They sit up here saying, you know what I mean? You want some paperwork? Well, I'm not saying it. It ain't me how it. But to go ahead and sweep all that up underneath the rug, why don't you just go ahead and be open book and let everybody see that their work, man? Stop sending people cease and desist letters. Stop trying to take down videos. Put it like this. If somebody got something to say about Cliffy Cliff, bro, I'm not going to try to dispute it. I'm not the type to clear up rumors, especially if it's not the truth. Like, bro, if it ain't the truth, it ain't the truth. You feel me? I'm not going to try to clean it up. You can go ahead and make all the assumptions and conspiracies you want about me because I know the truth. Now, when I get to flagging people channels and copyright striking people and sending people cease and desist letters, when I get to doing stuff like that, hey, man, you know what the famous saying is, wherever there's fire, there's smoke. So what? If you're going to be doing this whole exposers thing, it's just coming from me. Smith, it comes from me. And this is just advice. You don't got to take it. If you're going to be doing this whole exposers thing, can you please let your paperwork be open book? If somebody make a video about wack100 and they plead in their case that you was a confidential informant back to let that video rock and let everybody come to their own assumption or conclusion or go back and do real work to see whether or not that's true or not. Especially if you're going to take that the position of the exposures like how Chinati J. You smell it? Remember that situation came with Chinati J? And nah, bro, it seemed like y'all trying to monopolize the game when it comes down to exposure things, bro. So you got to keep the playing field even if you're going to do this. So I request, Wack, hey, let your paperwork come to the forefront, man. Let's see that paperwork, man. But what y'all think, bro? Y'all think Lil Zay Osama gonna let wack100 slide with all this disrespect, bro? How much longer do y'all think people gonna allow wack100 to slide with disrespect, bro? I don't know. Y'all have a conversation and let me know, man. That's all I got for y'all right now. Of course, man. We gonna do the things that ask we gonna get the law at this point. Shit, hey, y'all let me know. Do we need a mediator? Do we need to certify somebody who's going and got no sweat on their name to actually do the exposure? Because these other guys are doing it. It seems like they don't want to be transparent with their own paperwork, man. But I truly don't care, man. Shit, man. I'm done with y'all.
Say what you will about me, but you'll never be able to say that nigga curved me. You'll never be able to say that I didn't show up for the battle or that I didn't participate in the war. When you have people who are genuinely coward motherfuckers, those coward people try to use whatever tool at their disposal, no matter how despicable, underhanded, bitch-made, whole type, fuck nigga-ish that tactic or maneuver may be, they're going to use it. Now I want Detroit to pay attention to something. You got all these bitch-ass niggas who mad at Doggy. Ooh, you can't say that about our legends, about our champions. Ooh, who are you to say this? You were not born and raised in Detroit. Ooh, we're mad. We're angry. We're upset at you, Doggy. So we're going to band together. Like the good dick handling, cock jerking, circle jerking ass fuck boys they are, and try to defeat me. This is how they try to defeat Doggy. You hear that? Knock, 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 knock. You bitch ass niggas don't strike, don't fear my heart. You pussy ass niggas. You whole ass niggas say what you want to say. Oh, Doggy's this. Doggy's that. Doggy is a robber. Doggy is an underhanded, dastardly villain. You bitch ass, hoe type, fuck boy, dick in the booty ass, coward, getting beat up, getting socked in the jaw, getting slammed on the ground and bouncing up like a jumping jack. You weighted blanket lions from the peanut gang having ass, anxiety having ass, gossiping, bitch ass niggas. And for the people who have heard what my dog Eastside Ray has had to say about all the gossiping and pillow talking and sneak dissing and two-facedness of street girl Juanita, aka Auntie Nita Boo. For all of you people in the Detroit entertainment landscape who have developed an attitude against me or about me, because I'm simply doing my job as a podcaster and I'm reporting on these things. I'm trying to figure out how rude I'm going to be when I tell y'all to go fuck yourselves. You know, I want to be ruder than that. I understand that I am fucking up y'all childhood. I understand that I am destroying the very picture that you guys have had in your mind about how cool, how gangster, how hip, how dynamic this bitch ass nigga, street girl Juanita, Mr. Win himself, Mr. Fat Back, Salt Pork Back, Belly Skin, Pig on Pig Feet eating, Washington drawers, socks, and white tee shirt in the sink of that motherfucking studio over the London Chop House on Congress. You bitch ass, hoe ass, fuck boy ass, pussy ass nigga. I am not afraid of you. Just in case you didn't get the picture as of yet. For everybody who's mad at me in Detroit about what I'm saying about your illustrious leader, you drone ass, imbecilic ass, easily misled, looking for a hero, shero ass niggas. Hey, I want to give you guys something to tell other people about me and my disposition. Watch this. 1, 2, 3. Repeat after me. Dogface Calderon does not give a flying fuck about what you niggas say, think, feel, none of that. Well, Dogface, he's this and he's that. Dogface is a dastardly demon of a man. You bitch ass, hoe ass, curb type, fuck ass niggas. I don't mind catching fades, right? I'm in good shape. It ain't me who ducking fades. It ain't me who ducking funk. First of all, I tried to introduce funk to the equation. A motherfucker screenshotted what I said about the funk, put it on his page, and then declared to the whole world if something happened to him, they wanted, it was my fault. That's one. They called the police on me. Your illustrious leaders that y'all want me to be afraid of have called the police on me, reported my Instagram page, reported my YouTube channel saying that I have been cyberbullying, harassing, and threatening them. And they provided examples of my bullying, harassing, and threatening of them. These bitch ass niggas have called the police on me. Recently, y'all don't think the police watch YouTube, bro? Police pay attention to all this shit, right? Right? These niggas, y'all so-called leaders, y'all so-called OG ass niggas, right? Y'all so-called OG ass niggas have been utilizing every tactic and maneuver under the sun that is unprincipled and unmoral and not justified and verified by street code to go against me. Why does it take 25 niggas to go against little old place? Why does it take 25 born and raised Detroit niggas? Niggas saying born and raised Detroit niggas like I'm gonna knock they bitch ass out. You ever hear what I'm saying? We born and raised in the city of Detroit, and I knock your motherfucking ass up under a goddamn car. That I will do. I don't gotta go work out for 3 months. Nigga, I'm battle tested, nigga. I ain't in no gang, nigga. I don't run with no pack of niggas. I don't need no witnesses, pussy. Do y'all hear what I'm saying to y'all? I don't need 3 months. If I talk your shit, I'm willing to back it up right on the spot. If you feel violated in any way about anything I said or done, I'm willing to step up. No crew, no homeboys, no nothing. It's just me. Let me offer this again. Snapdog, Flosslot, they have a boxing match on December 7th. Snapdog, go to Snapdog page. Flosslot, they advertise on their page, right? Al Luke ducked the fade, saying, I need time to battle, I need time to work out. He don't smoke, he don't drink. Just imagine a nigga talking shit, exposing the nigga address, talking about nigga family, all this old fat man talk. And then when the challenge gets issued for a nigga to step forward and defend what he had said, when he know he done went well over the goddamn violation level, and then he come back after he thought about it. You gotta say something because he's issuing his challenge. I'm not in no shape. But on every video on his Instagram leading up to this shit, this nigga in the gym with a sweater hood put over his head, like he just kept doing a workout. That's how you know that these niggas is some hoes. Because at what point in time do you get to talk shit about a motherfucker? And you trying to convince the world that the shit you talking, you mean that shit from the bottom of your motherfucking heart. But you ain't willing to stand up and defend what it is you just said. That's the difference between these pussy ass niggas and me. We don't like what you said, Dogface. We heard it and we don't like it. Bitch, you don't want to see me nothing about it. I'm not running. Say what you will about me, pussy ass niggas, but in the world of the YouTube streets, I'm a motherfucking commander. I ain't no do-boy. I ain't no follower. And I ain't the only commander in the world of YouTube streets, whether it be Detroit or worldwide. I'm willing to stand on what I said. I'm not DJ Academics. You ain't gonna run me. You ain't running me no motherfucking where. Pussies. But Dogface always talking shit. What they gonna do? Hey, listen, I have a wonderful question. What are they going to do about the shit they're saying that I'm wrong for saying? Let me tell you what they're gonna do. They're going to call the police on me and say I've been threatening them. I threatened to commit great bodily harm to them, like I said, terrorist fucking act. They have reported my page, my Instagram page, got it took down. How did they get taken down? They reported my Instagram page and said that I was threatening, harassing, and intimidating them and bullying them. That's how I lost my dawgfacetv page. That's how. No other reason. After they talked shit like it really was about it. My 60,000 subscriber YouTube channel, you know how I lost that a couple of weeks ago?
Stop.
Because Al Luke and this bitch ass, hoe ass, fat, filthy, funky, and short back ass nigga, pussy ass Juan reported my YouTube channel. How they do that, Dogface? They hit the report button on my videos, several of them. And when you hit the report button, it gives you options. What happened? Why are you reporting this? Is it somebody you know? They talking about you? Yeah, he's cyberbullying me. Yeah, he's harassing me. Yeah, he's threatening me. So they're leaving a digital record of them saying that I have threatened, harassed, bullied, and intimidated them. That is nothing, you can't erase none of this shit digitally. This is a digital imprint, and they've done this. Another trick they have employed. I've been in Detroit since niggas said I couldn't come back to Detroit. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know that I am in Detroit right now, and I've been in Detroit since the day after them bitch ass niggas said I couldn't come back to this motherfucker. Did y'all know that? I've been in Detroit 3 weeks. Did y'all hear that? Oh, y'all know I've been in Detroit because y'all watched me hoe that pussy ass nigga Jay O'Neal again and again and again. Another motherfucker pussy ass nigga who adds nothing to the overall landscape of the city of Detroit at all, except pillow. Listen, Jay O'Neal is the biggest pillow talker. I can see why him and Juan are dick swapping ass bunch. Because both of them some hoe ass niggas. Jay O'Neal is a dirty glove, dick sucking, pussy ass, hoe ass nigga, fake teeth. If y'all know Jay O'Neal, y'all know his teeth was rotten from the fall of his mouth until he got the motherfucking cheap ass veneers, Mr. Ed looking ass nigga. Used foreign car ass nigga. Did y'all know that? This nigga run around Southfield like a nigga don't know where he stay. Newsflash, also, I know where Al Nuke lives at. I know where Al Nuke's daughters, the grown ones, live. I know where Street Lil Wine lives at. I know where his children, the grown ones, live. I know where Jay O'Neal lives at in Southfield, Michigan. I know what cars he drives, right? Trust me. And they know I know. But the one thing that separates me from these pussy ass niggas that I'm talking to Detroit, and I ain't cracking no joke here, is that I grew up warring. I grew up battling for real. I grew up around real niggas for real. From Pontiac to Van Dyke and Harbor to the Brewster Projects to 12th Street, Claremont, Byron, Woodrow. I grew up in these areas from a youngster. And I was raised around niggas who was stuck down for real. And the niggas who I was raised around, the niggas who influenced my overall mentality, right? They would be turning over their grave if they ever thought I called the police or utilized any form of law enforcement or digital patrol, meta security police shit to settle a difference between me and another motherfucker. That's not how I operate. I settle differences 2 ways. 3. We can have a conversation and we can talk about it. I'm a relatively intelligent motherfucker. I can stand on whatever position I took or take. That's 1. So I don't mind going back and forth. I'm a bit of a wordsmith. I'm what you call a nerd. But I ain't no academics nerd. I'm a gangster nerd who will knock you on no motherfucking ass. I'm the nerd who you said you had to go and train for 90 days in order to muster up the goddamn courage and step in the ring with heat gear and 25-ounce boxing gloves on. It takes 90 days to train when you 10 years younger than me? Oh, you don't smoke, you don't drink. So all you niggas who smoke and drink, according to this pussy ass nigga, y'all need to shut y'all bitch ass up. Because y'all ain't no physical shape to defend the shit y'all saying and the shit y'all started. That's the new East Side law, according to these pussy ass niggas. Hold on, wait a minute. Don't try to hit me, because if you do, I'm not in no shape to fucking with you because you don't drink, you don't smoke. Well, where I come from, that's called shut your bitch ass up. If you know that you don't want no fun, if you know that you're not physically fit, this nigga shot it to the whole world. I can't fuck with this nigga. That's why I'm calling the police. That's why I'm reporting this nigga. That's why I'm asking Detroit to band together with me and go against this one nigga. That's why I'm asking y'all to report his pages. Call the police on this nigga. Report his YouTube channel. Band against him. That's why I'm asking y'all to help, man, because I can't fuck with this nigga. You pussy ass, hoe ass nigga. Oh, if I see him and he hits me and I don't want to catch no fade, I'm telling all the youths, right? Pull out a gun and shoot somebody. He telling all the young niggas, I can see why all these young niggas don't listen to you pussy ass niggas no more. He telling niggas, man, we tell young niggas, man, don't pull out no gun to resolve your issue. Square up man to man, this issue, defend what you said, man to man, walk away there another day. Listen, my nigga, I introduced funk from the very beginning, and a nigga said that I was trying to, I put some money on his head. I went the funk way. I said, pull up. I pulled up to the nigga crib. Nigga called me and told me he was gonna send me back to the police. Tell me to get back to prison. That's what nigga told me. And he's saying that Detroit stands behind him. Detroit, let me tell you niggas something. If y'all stand behind the actions of this coward bitch ass nigga, any one of them, y'all deserve what the fuck these niggas do to y'all. If y'all saying that their mentality, their actions, their behavior represents the spirit of Detroit, especially from a gangster street image, because these niggas holler to the moon. I'm a gangster. I'm a real nigga. I'm this, I'm that. They holler to the moon and shit. These niggas holler, oh, I'm a gangster. Look at me, believe in me. Them niggas hoes. I'm not afraid. And these the niggas y'all want me to be afraid of, don't talk about it. Like, don't say it, doggy. You're fucking up my childhood memories. My nigga, if these niggas are the source of what y'all dreaming about, y'all niggas, no wonder you niggas fucked up. Because these niggas playing police games, filing civil litigation against me. Here I am thinking we finna get to the funk of the map.
Sure.
The whole time these niggas put my name in the courts, calling the police on me. These niggas have called the police and said, oh, we seen Dogface on Harbor. Thinking I'm still in the same truck they saw me, or same cars they saw me in on YouTube or on social media. Bitch, I got some money. I can switch up. Pussy ass niggas. I have money for real, pussy. Right? My nigga. These niggas have called the police on me so much in the last 7 days. Tell the police that they see me and I flashed a gun at them. I wrote one and I said, I'm gonna kill you. These same niggas have made the only reason why I wouldn't take it into custody is because these niggas, they want these niggas to come down and fill out applications or go online and fill out reports and put their name on it. And these niggas wouldn't put their name on it. But this the games they playing. These niggas calling the police saying we seen Dogface in the Hellcat. And he flashed the gun at us. They said, shout at something like I'm gonna kill you. Trying to put the police on me. You know why? Because these niggas believe I ride around with rockets on me. So when they call and say, oh, we seen Dogface in this car or that car, and he pulled a gun on us and he shouted a threat out the window to us while we was right down the street. When they call the police, what the police gonna do? What the police gonna do when they get that report? They gonna pull over the car that they described. They gonna say, hey, we got a report that you get out the car, we got a report, right? But the police watch YouTube, bro. They know the rat tactics you hoe ass niggas is using. And the reason why they ain't pull me out the car is I know my motherfucking rights. You accuse me of putting a gun on you, but you won't put the name on you. You know why? Because they don't want there to be no public record of them lodging a formal complaint against me. That's why. That's why. These niggas are hoes. And these niggas who have tried to present themselves to y'all like they was gangsters, these niggas are not gangsters, bro. All you gotta do is just sit back and look at the whole ass shit these niggas doing. And Street Lords, Juanita, you bitch ass nigga. Let me say it again. Street Lord Juan, you fat fucking bitch ass nigga, you. Ain't no alleged nothing. Juan, you have done nothing and added nothing to the landscape of the entertainment community since you've been out of prison. All you have done is run a flip-flam on nigga, and niggas from Detroit been up on while you was in prison for over a decade, nigga. Oh, give me 20,000. I'll walk you to a label meeting. Niggas was doing that shit, Miss Murder them, Westside Chuck them, niggas doing that shit 10 years, 15 years ago. Give me 20,000. I'm gonna walk you to a label meeting. I'm gonna walk you into 300. I'm gonna walk you into Def Jam. I'm gonna walk you into Universal and present your overall portfolio to them, right? No guarantee of a deal. But I'm gonna open the door. Why? Nigga, don't think you fooling that whole ass shit. You ain't got nothing, no deal. Street Lord Juan, you did not get Still Baby his deal. You were not in the room. You were not responsible for it. That's cap. Speaking of cap, that's cap. Cornflakey, fat back eating ass, nigga. Street Lord Juan, you were not responsible for no deal I swear Bezo had. None. Street Lord Juan, you were not responsible for V's, Solid Baby, Skilla Baby, I swear Bezo, Baby Smooth, Baby Tron. You ain't responsible for the way that Pretty Bria was experiencing. You're not responsible for Cash Dow's career. You're not responsible for 42 Dub. You're not responsible for all your money. And by the way, Juan, you had never managed all your money, bitch ass nigga. You would never manage all your money, you bitch ass nigga. You can stay out all your money, inbox pussy. On my dead body, will I ever let Audie, young east side nigga, thoroughbred nigga, on my dead body, will I ever let you manage all your money, you bitch ass nigga? Never. So all these old dumbass niggas who still fearful of you based on what they thought of you 25 years ago, if they want to subscribe, they ain't got no motion. If all them old niggas from KDZ backwards, from KDZ train as King of Detroit, and that's what he was. Me and KDZ always been, what's up, doggy? When you see me, smile. He might have a different disposition now because I heard that you were responsible for putting KDZ's career on the map. Why? But when me and KDZ see each other, it's what's up, doggy? It's what's up, DZ? It's how it always been. He may feel a little different about me now, because I understand that he comes from that dirty glove, street lord backdrop. But let me tell you something. I heard about how you interfered with DZ while you was locked up. I heard about some of the roadblocks and impediments you put in DZ way, right? I heard about it. I ain't even go there though. But let me tell you something, you coward, bitch ass, hoe ass nigga. I'm not afraid of you. In this case, you ain't fit. Look me in the eyes. Bitch ass nigga, you don't skin nothing this way. And this is coming from a nigga from Pontiac, Michigan, born and raised in the east side of Pontiac, nigga. I was born on Sanford, nigga, in Pike, east side of Pontiac, nigga. And I stayed there 15 years until I moved to the east side of Detroit. Pussy ass nigga. Niggas raised me, nigga. Niggas raised me in the Yak, MGB, Face the Nation, Lil Spike, the niggas who they say was serving Meech when Meech was the whole BMF thing kicked off, nigga. That was my man, Lil Mike Warlock, Chrissy Warlock. The whole MGB Wall Street gangsters. That's where I get my attitude from. They're the ones who taught me don't be afraid of no nigga where you from. So when I migrated to Detroit, bitch ass, I didn't come down here with no fear in my heart in 1986, nigga. I came down here ready to go to work. Shout out to Ice, Up Records, Jetto, Jet Ski, Daddy, Big Ruben. One of the first things I ran across when I came to Detroit on Van Dyke and Harper was Big Ruben, Jetto Daddy. And Jetto told me one thing. He said, my nigga, you doing too much talking. Down here in this area down here, nigga, ain't no talking like that. It's on the floor. Niggas not gonna argue with you at all. I see you got it in your eyes, right? There was on Marion. Ask Jet if I'm lying. Ask Jet if I'm lying. We was on Badger at Chubb's crib. Lil Rob, Daddy, Chubb, Mama Anita, Two Baby Flat. Chubb stay downstairs, we was upstairs rolling. Mix jab, heroin and crack. Fuck is you niggas talking about? Oh, he ain't never caught no dope case? Nigga, I don't gotta explain what the fuck I did and didn't do, what I was and wasn't into, nigga. If y'all niggas believe all I did was rob, nigga, then just stay with that. I'm cool with y'all believing that. Oh, he robbed. He was a thief. Bitch, robbery's a part of the game. Sorry. Robbing a nigga and making you niggas drop down. That's a part of the game, nigga. You don't believe me? You don't believe me? Ask any real nigga. Ask any real gangster, nigga. Robbery, you make it, I take it, nigga. That's a part of the game, nigga. It's part of the dope game, too. That's what, why would I sit back and risk my life selling it if I can take it from you bitch ass niggas? Yeah, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I'm retired now. I don't have to do it now, because guess what? I'm $1 million nigga. I got $1 million bitch. And then what you say? So I don't gotta rob. Y'all be lucky I got the motherfucking rob. Because I still got the retire. How do it. You niggas don't strike no fear in my heart. Hey, Detroit, newsflash. I don't give a fuck about how no nigga feel about me. You got a problem with me? Knock me off my square, nigga. Huh? I'll pull up. I ain't too gangster to squabble with a nigga. I still got it in me. Right? My first instinct is not to pull out no gun and shoot no nigga like no bitch. That's what we try to counsel these kids against doing shit like that. My first instinct is not to shoot no nigga, bro. My first instinct is man to man, combat to combat, knock through your ass, nigga. Over the last 10 years, I done been in battles in clubs with niggas. I done fought 4-5 niggas several times. I ain't lost nothing. I done bit niggas' ears off and spit them out at the gas station right by this goddamn building, nigga. I done knocked niggas down. I done jumped out on niggas on they set in they hoods. So when niggas ask, well, what's up with the dog face, nigga? I do what I want to do. I say what I want to say. Hey, Detroit. I say what I want to say and do what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do, nigga. When I came to Detroit, right? So I'm going to depot. In the Fed joint right now, we're bringing it to town, nigga. We're bringing it to town, nigga. When I came to Detroit, I was around all best friends, nigga. I was around the best friends when I came to Detroit, nigga. And it wasn't no hoe, no coward. I was tapped into my motherfucking God, brother. Pussy niggas. Wasn't no fear in my heart, nigga. To the training school, from 1330 to Children's Village, to WJ Maxey, boys training school, to Green Oaks training school, one step from the penitentiary, nigga. To the penitentiary, nigga. It's a million niggas out here know me from the penitentiary, nigga. I went to prison from 4791 fishing, nigga. Each one, nigga. Dog, nigga. There ain't no rumors of me doing nothing but being a G. Outside of prison, inside of prison. Oh, you pussy ass niggas. Shit, first thing niggas say when bitch in penitentiary. Oh, he was gay. Oh, he went to protection. Nigga, hey, nigga, Troy Muhammad. Minister of Mosque, #1 in Detroit. Boeing, Hyde Park, Boeing. Ask him. Ralph, ask him. Duce Vaughn, ask him. Marvin Cox, ask him. Don Newt, ask him. Moore Bay, Cheryl Piggy Bay, ask him. Fuck is you niggas talking about, nigga? I've been the same nigga, Corn. Sell my dog Corn. Ask Corn if we was in level. I didn't meet Corn in no camp. I met Corn in St. Louis, level 4, nigga, when the police was killing niggas. The niggas was stabbing and fucking niggas up. Ask Uchi Khan. Ask Harry Seal, the white Harry Seal from the Number Streets, West Warren. I'm name dropping, nigga. You can ask any nigga, East Side, West Side, Pontiac, Flint, Bad Rock, all the niggas, Saginaw niggas, Kalamazoo niggas, Crip niggas, Blood niggas, GD niggas, Vice Lord niggas, nigga never whooped me on nothing. I ain't never ran and touched my tail on nothing. And I'm saying the same shit now that I say in the penitentiary system. Y'all niggas don't like what I'm saying, a bitch get at me. Fuck all the going on every comment on YouTube and he a hoe, he a this, we do this, we do that. All that talking, all that typing, all that posturing, all that making a mockery, because you ain't making no mockery of me, because a nigga ain't gonna see me and do nothing. You niggas talking to be heard, because y'all think the more y'all band together, Al Duke, Street Lord Juan, pussy ass J. O'Neal, all these other hoe ass niggas, they think they all have meetings about me, bro. What we gonna do? They on the phone like some hoes they is. What we gonna do? Y'all get it yet? It's just me. It's me against all these niggas, and I still don't care. A nigga not gonna see me and look at me and walk up to me and question me about nothing. Because if they do, they're gonna pick their motherfucking self off the ground and dust their goddamn ass off. Gonna knock their ass on dirt. You pussy ass niggas, Street Lord Juan, bring your pussy ass to the front of the congregation. You bitch ass nigga. On Dogface, your message, we get the message, but you're being too raw, and what you're saying, you're too aggressive. Let me tell you, bitch ass coward, nigga, steel sharpens steel. When steel rub against plastic, it cuts plastic. When steel rub against wood, it leaves a knot and a ditch in wood. Makes you niggas emotional. When steel rub against paper, it gonna slice the paper in half. You emotional, bitch ass, hoe ass nigga. Oh, he cheating on this bitch. He's a cheater. He got a bitch with some money. Get you a bitch with some money. So you can stop filing Chapter 11. So you can stop losing houses. So you can stop buying used cars. So you can stop all that little fake ass shit you got going on. Stop. Get you one. Get you some heart first. Because a real bitch with anything ain't gonna fuck with you pussy ass niggas. Because a real bitch with anything who cut any kind of real cloth gonna peep you niggas hoes and leave you pussy ass niggas right where they found you. You bitch ass niggas. Now, Street Lord Juan, I need you to bring your fat back salt pork You know what? Let me back up for a second. Street Lord Juan, I ain't even gonna call you out your name for the next 5 minutes. I ain't even gonna call your name, Street Lord Juan. I'm not gonna call you out your name. There's a difference between Street Lord Juan and Street Girl Juanita. It's a difference. Street Lord Juan is the man who most of Detroit grew up, in this generation grew up admiring. Wanted to be like So Far Gone, that's your anthem. I had 4 niggas call me and say, Dawgfacetv, you're fucking up my childhood. I built my gangster office in the Street Lord Juan thinking that he was the champion that he reported that he was. You fucking up my childhood, you disturbed my childhood. Watch this. You niggas want to believe in Santa Claus so bad? Hold on. I'm your new Santa Claus. Ding dong. I'm you niggas new. You didn't want to believe in the Bunny Rabbit. Y'all want to believe in the Sandman. Y'all want to believe in the Boogerman, the Boogeyman. Y'all want to believe in the Easter Bunny Rabbit. Y'all want to believe in white Jesus, the manger. Y'all want to believe in all this old shit. I'm your new Santa Claus. Call me Doggy Santa. For all you bitch ass niggas who mad out disturbing y'all childhood dreams. Based on some niggas y'all admired over some 4 lying bitch ass.
Tweet.
The accused drug lord they call ElChapo is considered in law enforcement circles to be Chicago's public enemy number 1. The crime lineage of Al Capone, the most wanted fugitive here since notorious ElChapo was finally captured. Tonight, federal authorities say ElChapo last year fake murdered his own son-in-law, Christian Fernando Gutierrez Ochoa, so that the young man could sneak into Los Angeles and start a new life. Ochoa used $1.2 million in drug money to buy a luxury residence here in Riverside, California, according to federal agents. Ochoa moved into an exclusive neighborhood under the fake name Luis Miguel Martinez, investigators say, after his real persona was supposedly murdered in Mexico by his father-in-law, the ruthless drug lord Nemesio Osagura Cervantes, alias ElChapo. Federal agents have been after ElChapo here in Los Angeles and in Chicago for years, as his new generation cartel, known as CJNG, has been making violent inroads to the illicit drug trafficking markets in both cities. And the Kin murder story made sense. Mencho accused of killing close associates in cartel squabbles. So when he claimed to have killed his own son-in-law for lying, Ochoa's cover here in Los Angeles worked, until it didn't.
I think the guy arrested probably was operating with some level of comfort, thinking that his fake death in Mexico, which the Mexican authorities apparently bought, had worked for him a year.
37-year-old Ochoa being held tonight here at the Federal Detention Center in Los Angeles, arrested after facial recognition from an Interpol photo matched up with the bogus identity in LA. Ochoa is married to this woman, ElChapo's daughter, Elisha Michelle Osagura Gonzalez, an American citizen who runs a Southern California coffee shop, according to authorities. Also bought, they say, with cash they suspect was from a cartel-run tequila manufacturer south of the border. ElChapo himself remains Chicago's most wanted and currently has a $10 million bounty on his head. ElChapo is the real target for U.S. law enforcement tonight. The head of the Drug Enforcement Administration says he's behind the wave of corruption and killings in Mexico that has left thousands shot dead in the streets in recent years, and the mayhem here. And each arrest of someone close to ElChapo, authorities believe they are squeezing him to surface or to make a mistake that will result in his own arrest or death. He's really the guy they want. Tonight, their attorney is saying talks are underway that could result in guilty pleas to the charges in a sizable drug trafficking case against them.
There's a myriad of possibilities in a situation like this.
After months of denying that there were plans for plea agreements, tonight New York-based attorney Jeffrey Lichtman says 2 Los Chapitos, these sons of Sinaloa cartel kingpin ElChapo, would like to plead guilty if their deals are right. During a routine court hearing here at the Dirksen Federal Building Monday, Lichtman and prosecutors acknowledged plea talks are underway. Only Ovidio Guzman was in court, but Lichtman says he'd like to see Chapo's son Joaquin also negotiate a deal with prosecutors.
Although I represent both brothers, it doesn't change the fact they individually have their own cases. So this isn't a package deal in terms of one doing one and one doing the other. I'd like them to do the same thing, have the same result, but the government views them differently.
Lichtman tonight insists there are no discussions about the brothers cooperating with prosecutors, but he was asked if cooperating is a possibility.
There's a possibility that I could wake up tomorrow morning and be 6'11" and be playing center for the Knicks. That's a possibility too. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Former federal prosecutor in Chicago and chief ABC7 legal analyst Gil Sofer tonight says there is a wide range of cooperation, from agreeing to discuss a plea deal to testifying against cartel associates.
There's no question that true cooperation will result in a more lenient approach by the government to the defendants.
But is it fair to say that at the very least, when you're negotiating a plea deal, the defendant has to make admissions of guilt in order for a judge to accept it?
Yeah, there's no question. A plea deal, if it goes to an agreement, means that the defendant will be acknowledging guilt.
Ovidio Guzman was arrested in Mexico, brought to Chicago a year ago. In July, his brother Joaquin was arrested with Sinaloa cartel founder El Mayo Zambada in a still mysterious private plane ride from Mexico to Texas. Zambada is being held for trial now in New York.
A man calling himself Luis Miguel Martinez bought a $1.2 million home in the LA suburb of Riverside in 2023. He brought standard luxuries. Parked outside was a BMW and another luxury car with Mexican license plates from Mexico.
He faked his own death, but was living right here in Southern California. Now a high-ranking leader of a Mexican been arrested. DOJ says Christian Fernando Gutierrez Ochoa was found in Riverside, where he'd been living, using a fake name and living a life of luxury, according to prosecutors. The 37-year-old is the son-in-law to fugitive cartel boss El Mencho, seen in this wanted poster. Gutierrez Ochoa accused of drug trafficking, money laundering, and kidnapping. DOJ says his arrest weakens the Jalisco, one of the world's most violent drug trafficking organizations.
This week, he was snatched up by the feds, who said that Martinez, that wasn't his real name. His real name is Christian Fernando Gutierrez Ochoa, and he's the son-in-law of the supposedly most wanted Nazarco in Mexico, El Mencho, a.k.a. El Mencho. He was a high-ranking member. He went missing in December of 2022, and he was declared deceased. And in fact, feds picked up wiretap stuff from Jalisco New Generation saying that this guy was deceased. And it makes you think about, I'm sure that many narcos from down there that are dead ain't dead. They're living somewhere under a different name. They've just left. This guy was a key plug in the growth of the CJNG. In fact, he married one of El Mencho's daughters. One of El Mencho's other daughters just got let out of prison for when she showed up at her brother's federal court hearing.
Judy, this is the story of like father, like son. The men oversee Mexico's most feared new generation. Ruben Asegura Gonzalez, the 28-year-old known as Menchito, finally extradited from Mexico, and tonight is being held without bond on drug trafficking and machine gun charges.
But he's mentioned he's married to a different daughter who owns a coffee shop in Riverside. So when you ask, are those people on this side of the border? Well, they are not probably the most violent people, though some of them pop up over here. But the ones with money, why wouldn't you come live on this side? And you can blend right in. The metro LA areas, depending how you define LA, is 20-some million people, or at least 18, 19 million people. You can blend right in. Now, this guy, Gutierrez Ochoa, he was under indictment for helping orchestrate 40,000 bricks of METHOD man and another 2,000 bricks of Coca-Cola. So that's CJNG's, one of their specialties is the synthetics, and he's indicted for 40,000 bricks of the METHOD man. He did some other wilder stuff. So like I said, he's married to El Mencho's youngest daughter, who owns a coffee shop in Riverside. Her mother, El Mencho's wife, has been in custody for some time. They're picking off El Mencho's family. His daughter just did a couple years. His son, who we'll get to in a second, is probably about to get life. His wife's in custody. So when his wife got taken into custody, this guy who they found in Riverside, he kidnapped 2 members of the Mexican Navy and was trying to trade them for his mother-in-law. So a DEA confidential informant told the DEA, and like I said, there was some wiretap stuff saying that he had been by Mencho for messing some stuff up. So the use of propaganda of disinformation they're very good at that. So to repeat, they had a DEA informant who sounds like a double agent, or they knew that this guy was informing. This is the danger of informants. You really don't know what their agenda is. They're often lying, or they could be, in the case of high-level operators, they could be double agents who come and present themselves as wanting to be informants, and they give false information. So this DEA informant told the DEA that Mencho had bumped off his son-in-law. And Mencho himself has famously been using probably a propaganda ploy, disinformation, for some years now, planning stories that he was sickly, he had his own hospital built for him in the jungle, maybe that he was deceased. There's some information that the DEA got, sending certain commands and letters that came from El Mencho to certain of his underlings. Suddenly the handwriting changed, which is indicative of him not being alive. Or is it indicative of a campaign to make it seem like he's not alive? The U.S. and Mexican governments never have declared him dead. But in this case, I guess they had assumed this guy was deceased because the informant told them that Mencho had bumped his son-in-law off. There was an indictment in 2022 against Mencho, so he has a $10 million reward waiting on him. His daughter, like I said, just got out of prison for doing a couple years. She was in charge of the money laundering. She had a chain of sushi restaurants. She also had a tequila company. There's a lot of tequila companies in LA. Boy, let me tell you. And speaking of tequila companies, the mansion in Riverside that this guy bought, this guy was living in, it was bought by a tequila company, Pasión Azul, for $1.2 million in cash. So that probably triggered the feds looking at it. But it was through a business. And if the business has money floating through it, it probably took them time to unravel it. Photos floating around of the guy named Martinez, and I used some software to match it against a guy named Gutierrez or Ochoa, and found out, oh shit, that's him. So pretty interesting. The Mexican criminal elite are living amongst us, at least here in Southern California. Did a story a while back about a guy named El Mago that lost his life in an argument at a New Year's Eve party. He was a big hitter. He owned a Benny Hibachi trucks in downtown LA. So what's going on with CJMG? Is the noose tightening? Well, Mencho's son, Menchito, who's been in custody since 2014, he was picked up in Mexico. He was let out of jail. He was put back in jail in Mexico. He was finally extradited to the U.S. in 2020. Now listen to this Godfather-esque scene. Do you remember in Godfather 2 when the guy, one of the capos was going to testify against the Corleone family in congressional trials. He was in witness protection. And Tom Hagen goes to visit him, right? And then he takes a hot bath and opens his wrists up, and right? So he was going to inform, and he gets a visit from the family lawyer, Tom Hagen, and he changes his tune. And Godfather 2, he took himself out. Well, Mencho's son, maybe 6 months ago, was set to plead guilty and be sentenced. And there had been order entered into the court docket that he had changed his plea to guilty. Chapo's trial some years back, as we know, Mayo's son testified against Chapo. Vicentillo is out now. He served about 11 years. The Flores twins. All these huge people cut deals and told and did 10, 11 years and got out. So possibly that's what Mencho's son was going to do. But Mencho was at a court date, maybe, I don't think it was the actual sentencing, but it was getting close to sentencing. And this lawyer pops up that was sent by unknown family members of him. And he suddenly took back his guilty plea. So what does that sound like? Sounds like maybe he cut some type of deal. They weren't going to give him life because all these guys have all life offenses. Mencho's son was involved in shooting down like a U.S. helicopter with a rocket launcher, like crazy stuff, in addition to orchestrating, massive loads coming across the border. So him entering a guilty plea and getting any type of deal would probably, be given some info. He said so this lawyer shows up at his family sentence and he takes back his deal. So now he's going to trial. And if he loses a trial, which seems like he most certainly will, he'll get life. What could his own father be holding over his head? I mean, at that level, hey man, watch Game of Thrones. At that level, they'll bump off. I mean, did the lawyer tell his son, your dad's gonna knock off your wife and kids if you testify? Who knows? Or his water flows. Or is what Menchito said in court true, where he said, well, now that I got this lawyer, I don't like the plea, I want to reconsider it, and now he's pushing to go to trial to try to get the feds to give him a better deal. That's certainly possible. So we'll see. And as for Mencho's wife, she's looking at heavy time. So this is the way they get to you. If they can't get you, they do it on a smaller scale here in the U.S. for all you guys. It's getting a couple dollars. When you get your aunt or your mother or your girlfriend to get a car in her name or something for you. If they come for you, then all you've done, you haven't protected yourself. You've actually given the feds a leverage over you because there's now a woman who you should have cared about, your mother, aunt, girlfriend, whatever, in this scenario I'm making up, who they can pull in and say, listen, you work as a whatever, you're a nurse or a teacher, or you don't work, and your tax return says you made $18,000 or $31,000, and you bought a $100,000 car. We know you did it for your nephew or your boyfriend, so that's a straw purchase, and we could give you 24 months or whatever, 12 months in the feds. And her lawyer is going to say, you're going to get the time because you're guilty. And then things like that are what make guys plead guilty often, where they'll say, well, we're not going to cut you a deal, but we'll let your mother and your wife out of the case, or your best friend or your little brother or whatever. So they're doing that on a high level with Mencho. One of his daughters, they just found his son-in-law hiding in plain sight here in LA. His son is about to be looking at life, and the noose may be closed. And interesting that now, remember who's in custody and who's telling. One of Chapo's sons showed up on an airplane with El Mayo some months back. And who knows, I'm sure they're a treasure trove of information. And I think that some deals are attempting to be cut. They're gonna, we are seeing somewhat of a decline in ODs from Fetty. Now, is that because people are using it less? There's more Narcan, there's more awareness. Maybe. Is it because there's less of it coming? Well, that's what Chapo's sons claim. And they may be trying to cut a deal where they trim down on the production. The good old days of just coke and dope, CNH. There were way fewer overdoses back when those were the two hard drugs. METH and Fetty Wap, KILL, a whole lot more people. So they may be cutting a deal of like, well, we'll slow those things coming in, and you give some of us some sweet deals. So this guy who got caught in Riverside, Mincho's son-in-law, who's a wife, Mincho's daughter, owns a coffee shop at Riverside. Fred, you ever had coffee at Mincho's daughter's coffee shop in Riverside? I know you like your coffee. My buddy gets coffee in Riverside. So there's an update on what's going on. And the people who used to be just on the other side of the border, some are on this side of the border. Los Rusos under El Mayo and Los Ninis and some others under the Chapitos have been kind of fighting over some territory that they must be doing business at some level. He was called for a meeting, and his security details overwhelmed, and he was grabbed, tied up, and a bag put over him, and he was thrown in a plane, which actually makes sense. Because the more I thought about it, the idea that he made a deal or that he was tricked, which was what the initial U.S. government line was, it doesn't make sense, because a guy like that, he would get on a plane without a single security agent. There was no security agent. This can't be true. So a deal was cut. Remember, a video is in U.S. federal prison, has been since September. Now this new brother has turned himself in back in maybe October or something. Chapitos issued those narco mitas, those narco commandments, that there was to be no more Fetty made and sold. Now, of course, seizures of Fetty and ODs didn't really go down, so that's not indicative of there being a decrease. And there were unalived chemists being found down there near Culiacan, which is where the capital of production was at. But I think that the four sons of El Senor Guzman, who's in Florence ADX, probably would like to blame the Fetty problem on El Mayo. Interesting little detail. These hats get issued down there in Culiacan that have certain little signs on them. Like there's one that says MZ, Miles Zamata, and it has a Daffy Duck on the front. And that means you're under his protection, that the local police shouldn't bother you. But remember, Vicente Zambada was one of the main witnesses against Senor Guzman in the trial back in 2018. So turnabout is fair play. One of Senor Guzman's sons captured him, grabbed him, tied him up, put a bag over his head. And again, if you look at the pictures of Mayo, he looks not like a guy that was expecting to be entering into custody. I know people are presenting the theory that he's sick and he turned himself in, but no way. It sounds likely that they KID nabbed him and delivered him to the U.S. And so maybe a formal deal wasn't cut, but of course an implicit deal will be cut. Look for Senor Guzman, who's been complaining about his living conditions in Florence ADX. He's been there for, 5 years now. Maybe it's time for he to step down to a max as opposed to a super max have a little more comfort. I don't think he's going to get out ever, but they can now say they got the two guys who are supposedly the heads of the federation centered around Culiacan. So from a U.S. law enforcement perspective, it makes for good news. Now, if you think of law enforcement as wanting to be helpful and do the right thing for the U.S. population, their goal could be simply, we got to reduce the amount of FENT flowing into the country. So if Mayo now is in custody and Chapitos decrease or turn way down the spigot of the FENT into the country, well, maybe if we see that this year, which would be good, they could make the claim, okay, listen, we've turned that down. We went and got the architect of the business, Mayo, and maybe they could cut a very sweet deal for a video. And this brother, I'm sure this brother didn't turn himself in if he thought he was going to do any more than maybe, seems like the limit of what these guys want to do is maybe 10 years or something. And speaking of Vicente Zambada, the one who testified against Senor Guzman, he's out. He's living in witness protection. Luis Chaparro, someone sent him a photo. This is a photo of Vicente Zambada now. This was at an airport. That's clearly him. He's free. He's traveling around the U.S. Him and his family must be living somewhere in witness protection. So, you know, he got his reward. I mean, he had to do about 11 years. He turned in $1.2 billion. I'm sure he had a little bit of money. Even if you had $1.2 billion and you hid 5% of it, that's $60 million you still have. It's surprising that those guys were meeting up like that, but if he had to seize him under threat of arms, you know, Mayo showed up with the light security detail, and Shapito's son had his guys overwhelm him. And who knows, El Mayo's guys could have been in on it. One thing about those guys south of the border, they see when the writing is on the wall, they cut deals now.
Your neighbors are out here, working hard behind the scenes.
Here's just me giving out scenarios. If you didn't know, down in Colombia, after they murked Don Pablo, an amnesty was declared. So for all those major traffickers, and the Ochoas were the primary beneficiaries, if you turned yourself in, you would serve 5 years and all would be forgiven. And Jorge Ochoa, the son of the big fat Ochoa, well, there was Fabio, who's finishing up a 30-year term in the U.S. now because he was dumb enough after his amnesty to come to the U.S. and do another deal. And then they had another son, I forget what his name was, but Jorge Jr. is not his name, but he has the same name as his father. He did 5 years. He was considered the logistics architect. I once calculated that he oversaw the movement of 5 billion grams of the yams moved into the United States. He did 5 years. He probably moved to Spain. He's been living openly in Spain as a businessman for 20 plus years, and he has nothing legal to worry about at this time. So the Chapitos could be trying to cut this type of deal. Be interesting if we see the tap of the Fetty Wap get turned down, and the Chapitos have been aggressively trying to take over the reefer sort of, I guess it's legal in parts of Mexico or recreational or medical or something. They want to control the dispensaries. If you could just control all the dispensaries in Mexico or in wide swaths of the country, you'd make a lot of money. You don't need to send the hard stuff to the U.S. And as they take control of more things in the economy. I mentioned before they control the fishing industry. They extort the fishermen catching the fish, the restaurants selling it. Why not do that? Why not control the dispensaries? I'm sure they have billions of dollars invested in legal businesses, and maybe this is a time to cut a deal for the whole family, and they had to turn in the other big fella. Boy, what a blunder he made. He just has never served a day in jail. He pled guilty. He pled not guilty in court in Texas already. He was in a wheelchair. He's indicted out of Chicago and New York and maybe San Diego, some other places as well. He'll probably be moved from place to place to be indicted and face charges. And as some of my commenters said on the day I posted the original story, they are right. They were saying a video, the brother that was taken into custody in September was released. Now, if you look him up, it does say it was released, which is crazy. He hasn't even been to trial. Now, I'm sure he hasn't been released, but he probably has been released to some protective housing that's not in a prison or that's pretty cut off from everyone else and may be fairly comfortable. And these guys can provide all sorts of information about the organization on this side of the border. And again, if law enforcement's job is to stop distribution of these items, if you have to cut some sweet deals with some guys, I can see some people in the Department of Justice and the U.S. government saying, okay. And of course, this could be something Biden and Kamala Harris could take credit for. So if in the coming months we see a statistically noticeable decrease in unalivings via OD, they could take the claim for having done that. So Mayo showed up for a meeting, and he was grabbed and tied up, bag put over his head, and flown to the U.S. And from the look on his face, certainly seems very believable. What's going to go on down there now? Perhaps the Mexican narcos they've ramped up the violence in the past years. Maybe they're now looking for a general amnesty like Colombia got. We'll go serve some time. We won't do it anymore. We'll keep most of our money. We'll turn in some billions, but we'll keep some other billions. And everyone goes on about their life. Pretty interesting how complex this is. And the strategery, you can see that Mr. Guzman Lopez has a much different look on his face. I mean, he doesn't look like he's having fun, but El Mayo looks like, what the hell happened? So that's a further update, and that's what his lawyer's saying, and it appears to be true to me. So.
Ghirardelli chocolate chips makes cookies a fight better.
Hard water damage makes it hard to keep your home looking picture perfect. Elegant softeners.
After dark, the factions were basically picking people up, and they seemed to be low-level operatives, the sort of low-hanging fruit, taking them, killing them, and then dumping their bodies. It's the worst violence in 15 years in a city known as the cartel's epicenter. And you see videos of cartel soldiers in trucks with, heavy mounted guns on the back of the truck, sort of guerrilla-style warfare, and at some points open shootouts.
Hundreds. Bodies dumped all over the streets, people terrified for their lives, and betrayal so deep that it is shaking up the state of Sinaloa and the Sinaloa cartel like never before. Let's dive into this heartbreaking story of the recent actions of Los Chapitos that's destroying the wonderful city of Culiacan.
And so every morning right now, the city is waking up to scenes like this one, bodies dumped in the street.
So take us to Culiacan, the capital of Sinaloa state. What is it like usually, and what does it look and feel like now?
it's the epicenter, really, of what's often referred to as the Sinaloa cartel.
At this point, Culiacan is known as the home of the Sinaloa cartel. The city has seen more violence in the past 5 decades than any other city in Mexico, and it looks like the violence is not stopping anytime soon, all because of Los Chapitos. But before Los Chapitos desecrated the very city their families had constantly sacrificed in their turf wars, Culiacan was a very beautiful city.
It's got great seafood, tackles of prawns, of octopus, good ceviche, lots of cold beer, a real sort of party town in its way, with a lot going on over there, some of it legal and some of it not.
But unfortunately, the cartel took over, and the once vibrant city took a turn for the worse.
This is really a collection of different organized crime outfits, usually family orientated, that together form a sort of loose coalition, a federation. And Culiacan, the city itself, it's the capital of the state, but it's also the capital of the Sinaloa cartel.
But even in the thick of it, even when ElChapo was at the helm, heading one of the most brutal cartels in the world, Culiacan wasn't this bad. Don't get me wrong, it was constantly taking a beating and people were living in fear, but it seemed as though there was rhyme to the madness. This time around, though, it's just madness.
This time around was very different. Shops and restaurants closing early, not a lot of people out in the streets, especially not after dark. A real difference to the Culiacan that I've been used to from the past.
If you don't know them by their name alone, Los Chapitos are the sons of Kingpin ElChapo. When he was arrested, his son stepped in to take his place and run the cartel. You see, their father, Boss, had just been arrested in the most humiliating way possible, and they had a reputation to maintain. They needed to remind people who they were.
The most powerful is the Sinaloa cartel. Almost the 70% of the world is infected by this cartel.
But they went about it in the worst way possible. They rained horror, violence, and on the world's most vulnerable people. And as if that was not bad enough, they cleaned house. They went after one of their father's oldest colleagues, a man by the name of El Mayo.
El Mayo Ismael Zambada has always been seen as someone with, if not as much power, possibly more power, possibly only a little bit less power, as ElChapo himself.
According to a letter written by El Mayo himself and released through his lawyers, he met up with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, the son of ElChapo and one of the Los Chapitos.
He thought he was going to a meeting to solve a local political dispute, and he was going to go there with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, who'd invited him.
At that point, El Mayo had been hiding out in the mountains and rarely ever came out for anyone. He knew the US government was onto him, and they were doing anything possible to catch him, so he generally laid low. But when he got that invite from ElChapo's son, a boy he'd known for almost as long as he'd been alive, no alarm bells went off. That was his first mistake.
But he thought that because he'd known, as he says, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, since he was a young boy, he trusted him and he was safe to go to this meeting.
So when ElChapo's son, also named Joaquin Guzman Lopez, reached out to him about needing his help to resolve a local political dispute, he offered his help immediately. He said he only went there because he had known Joaquin Guzman Lopez since he was a boy, and he trusted him. He walked into a complete setup.
He was at some point shown into a darkened room. He was then roughed up. After that, he was put in a truck and he was taken about 25 minutes on a road to a remote airstrip. Once he got there, he said that he was restrained by Joaquin Guzman Lopez with zip ties, himself restrained to his seat, and then he was flown 2.5 hours to El Paso, where US federal agents were waiting.
Zambada is the last major lord of his generation, having avoided capture for over 4 decades, despite leading one of the world's most important empires.
After basically handing over one of the last major lords in Mexico to the cops to clean house, they then went to war with El Mayo's son, and that led to the kind of bloodshed Culiacan had never seen before.
Then September the 9th, it all kicks off. There's a shout. We hear radio chatter that was posted online and went a bit viral. There were so many police and soldiers. There's a civil war really going on in the Sinaloa cartel.
That civil war has led to hundreds of bodies piled on the streets of Culiacan, families missing their loved ones, never knowing if they will ever set eyes on them again.
When you think of the relatives of these people, whether they were involved or not, the state of limbo that they're in, and that they might be in for some years to come, not knowing what's happened to their relative. It's another type of trauma that's going to be generated from this. Some people are turning up, some people are still disappeared. The numbers are that there are more than 200 after 6 weeks of this in Culiacan.
You see, when Los Chapitos declared war on El Mayo and his family, his son, also named Ismael Zambada, did nothing.
So things were sort of quiet, actually, in Sinaloa after that arrest. The letter from El Mayo through his lawyer came out on August the 10th. I think all of us watching, journalists here, were expecting things to blow up.
That's right, he retreated. For a good war strategist knows when he's been best. And at that point, Ismael was smart enough to know he had already lost before the war even began.
Of course, with those sorts of things that he was saying, with that word betrayal hanging in the air, you'd think everything was going to kick off. But it didn't.
He and his father were only in charge of a small faction of the Sinaloa cartel, and the faction was not even independent. They still worked together with ElChapo and Los Chapitos.
But there's another faction in town run by someone named El Mayo, another Sinaloa kingpin leader.
And they're all sometimes working together and sometimes competing. And El Mayo as well had been around for decades. So it was such a shock when he finally got arrested.
But he knew one thing. He had been betrayed, and he needed to make them pay.
So if you had to summarize, I suppose, all of this story in one word for El Mayo and his lawyer, it doesn't say it in the letter, but it's been resounding across Culiacan, Sinaloa, that word would be betrayal.
You have to understand that everyone who knew El Mayo thought he was going to live out his life in one of his many hideouts in the mountains of Sinaloa.
I think anyone that's been following this saw him as possibly the only one that might live out his old age in the mountains of Sinaloa, where he had several different hideouts.
And now in his 70s, he's probably heading to a U.S. maximum prison.
Both men are facing multiple charges in the United States for leading the cartel's criminal operations, including its big manufacturing and trafficking network.
Even before El Mayo released that letter practically pointing the finger at ElChapo's son, people were already suspecting it had to be an inside job. A man who had evaded capture for decades now would not be so easily captured now unless they had help from someone El Mayo trusted.
But obviously the questions that have been asked a lot by reporters are, did Joaquin Guzman Lopez bring El Mayo with him as a sort of present to U.S. federal authorities?
Once the letter was released, that question was quickly answered. El Mayo's son got the message loud and clear. While they went after his family, he stood quietly on the sidelines, acting weak while he gathered his forces.
So that may have been because El Mayo's son, also called Ismael Zambada, Sicaídos, his second name is different, was gathering forces.
Because he knew he could not just take on Los Chapitos unless he had the numbers behind him. He went to all the smaller factions that broke out after ElChapo's arrest, convincing them to fight for him and his father.
So if you're going to take on Los Chapitos, the sons of ElChapo, who've been building up this force reportedly, you're also going to need a force of your own. And reportedly, he was trying El Mayo's son to gather together alliances with different factions within this loose group of Sinaloa cartel to be able to take them on.
One by one, they all signed on to fight for him. And when he knew he had the numbers, he took the fight to them.
Allegedly, a commander for El Mayo was saying, basically, let's go to get Los Chapitos, let's send them to hell. And that's when you start to see popping up on social media very heavily tooled up, basically soldiers for the cartel on buses, getting on board and telling them, turn back now, you don't want to go ahead. It's an absolute chaos.
But this fight would not be an easy one to win. Although completely taken off guard, Los Chapitos recovered quickly enough to fight back. They hit back at El Mayo's son, and unfortunately, the beautiful city of Culiacan took the beating.
John, the fallout from that really dramatic arrest that you described blew up in September, bringing us to what we are seeing on the streets of Culiacan today.
People waking up to see bodies lining their streets, having to close their shops and businesses early because no one wants to be caught out once it's dark, having fully armored soldiers patrolling their streets, trying to find cartel members before they wreak any havoc.
One of the manifestations of that have been shootouts. Soldiers in full sort of battle gear heading through the shopping centre with people in a coffee shop getting really nervous, trying to go after some gang leaders that they'd obviously cornered.
And in some unfortunate cases, the soldiers and the cartels get into a and anyone unlucky enough to have just been walking the street that day would be caught in the crossfire. Families are losing their loved ones, and people are living in fear and chaos.
So at the moment, there's not just these rival factions from the Sinaloa cartel going to war. There's also more than 3,000 federal forces, most of them armored up to the neck, trying to sort of stop things going into complete chaos there.
And that's even for the people who get to bury their loved ones. Some families never find their loved ones. According to civil society groups in Mexico, the number of people who disappear due to this kind of cartel violence are usually higher than the number of people who are killed.
But that number of the disappeared, according to civil society groups, is actually even higher. So some people are not turning up. That's not uncommon, actually. With organized crime in Mexico.
In Mexico, they fed their enemies alive to tigers, electrocuted them, waterboarded them, and shot them at close range with a .50 caliber machine gun.
They even attacked the city's main airport after a bullet struck an Air Mexico plane. Passengers took cover on board. Authorities eventually had to ground that flight.
His sons have been making the headlines. One particular incident has sent chills across the country as they sent a disturbing letter to the media.
Imagine a world where a drug cartel threatens the might of the U.S. government. Sounds insane, right? But that's exactly what Los Chapitos are doing. These are the sons of the infamous El Chapo, and they're not just playing games.
What were the contents of the letter? Why did El Chapo's sons find it absolutely necessary to send it? And what implications does it have for the United States?
They've openly declared war, vowing to protect their empire at all costs, even if it means taking on the U.S. With their bold claims and violent history, they're sending shockwaves across both nations. What does this mean for the future? Can they really back up their threats? Let's dive into the chilling world of Los Chapitos and their audacious ambitions.
These are people who gave to a man, watched him die, and then sent that same batch of to the United States. They know that they are poisoning and killing Americans. They just don't care because they make billions of dollars doing it.
Los Chapitos are the sons of the notorious drug lord, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and they've taken over the family business in a big way. Ovidio Guzman, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, and Ivan Archibaldo Guzman now lead the powerful Sinaloa cartel, one of the most dangerous and influential criminal organizations in the world. After their father's arrest and extradition to the U.S., these brothers quickly stepped up to continue his legacy and grow the empire even further. El Chapo was one of the most infamous drug lords in history, responsible for building a billion-dollar drug empire. Under his leadership, the Sinaloa cartel became the most powerful cartel in Mexico. He was known for his ability to smuggle massive amounts of drugs into the U.S., escape from maximum security prisons, and control entire regions in Mexico through violence and corruption. After his capture, there was a vacuum of power, but it didn't take long for his sons, Los Chapitos, to fill that gap. They inherited not just his criminal empire, but also his enemies, his contacts, and his brutal reputation. Los Chapitos are not just content with maintaining their father's legacy. They are looking to expand it. Their goal is to take the cartel to new heights, growing more ruthless in their tactics. Unlike El Chapo, who focused mainly on drug trafficking, Los Chapitos are pushing further into other illegal activities. This includes extortion, kidnapping, and violent territorial control.
In Mexico, they fed their enemies alive to tigers, electrocuted them, waterboarded them, and shot them at close range with a .50 caliber machine gun.
They have been accused of increasing the violence, especially against rival cartels. Their ambition is clear. They want global influence and dominance in the drug trade. But they don't just want to be known as drug dealers. They want to be feared and respected as a cartel that is not afraid to use brutal force to protect their interests. While El Chapo was primarily known for smuggling drugs, his sons are taking the cartel in a more aggressive direction. Los Chapitos are more violent, more unpredictable, and more determined to hold on to their power. They control key territories in Mexico and have a vast network that stretches beyond the country's borders. What makes them unique is their ability to adapt. They aren't just relying on the old ways of running the cartel. They're evolving with the times, using technology and social media to their advantage. As they expand their operations, they're showing the world that they're not just following in their father's footsteps. They're carving out their own legacy, one marked by ruthless ambition and relentless violence.
However, in a shocking turn of events, Los Chapitos sent a letter to Mexican news outlet Milenio, which was read live on television, where the brothers denied any association with the charges leveled against them.
In recent years, Los Chapitos have made it clear they're not afraid of anyone, not even the U.S. government. These threats have put them on the radar in a big way, as they've publicly declared that they're willing to take on any force that stands in the way of their operations, including American authorities. It's a bold move that reflects just how much power they think they have. Los Chapitos have sent a chilling message to the U.S. If you come after us, we'll come after you. They've made it clear that they're ready to fight to protect their cartel's operations, no matter who tries to interfere. This isn't just aimed at rivals or Mexican law enforcement. It's directed at the DEA, the FBI, and the U.S. government itself. They've shown that they're willing to go to extreme lengths to keep their empire intact, just as their father did before them.
They even attacked the city's main airport after a bullet struck an Air-Mexico plane. Passengers took cover on board. Authorities eventually had to ground that flight.
These threats are more than just words. They're a calculated move to instill fear and assert dominance. Los Chapitos know what happened to their father after he crossed the U.S., and they're sending a strong message that they won't allow the same fate to befall them without a fight. Why would Los Chapitos make such brazen threats? For them, it's a way to flex their control and intimidate anyone who might think about coming after them. After watching their father spend the rest of his life in a U.S. prison, they're determined to show that they won't go down easily. It's part of their strategy to maintain power, not just in Mexico, but on a global scale.
In the letter, which was delivered by attorney Jose Rodriguez, who represents them and their father, Los Chapitos claimed that they didn't vow to flood the streets of the United States with blood, and that they were victims of persecution and had been made into scapegoats. They even responded to the accusations that they were feeding their enemies to tigers, saying that they had never owned tigers.
Making these threats also serves another purpose. It strengthens their image as untouchable and ruthless. They want people, especially their rivals and U.S. authorities, to believe they're unstoppable. For Los Chapitos, this is more than just business. It's about survival, control, and showing the world that they're not to be messed with. These threats have caught the attention of the U.S. government, especially the DEA and FBI. The U.S. is already heavily involved in combating Mexican cartels, but now the stakes are even higher. If Los Chapitos are serious about targeting American interests, it could lead to heightened security concerns on both sides of the border. This has led to increased pressure to dismantle their operations before things escalate even further. The U.S. has already seen the devastation these cartels can cause. With Los Chapitos making threats, there's growing concern about how far they're willing to go. Could they target U.S. agents, politicians, or even launch attacks on American soil? These questions are making American officials nervous, and it's clear that Los Chapitos are playing a dangerous game. But the big question is, are these threats just bluster, or do Los Chapitos really have the resources to back them up? On one hand, it could be a strategic scare tactic, designed to make law enforcement think twice before coming after them. On the other hand, their cartel is powerful, and they've proven time and again that they're willing to use extreme violence to get what they want. Whether or not they can actually follow through on their threats, the fear they've created is real. For now, it remains to be seen if Los Chapitos are bluffing, or if they truly have the means to strike at the heart of the U.S. government. But one thing is certain, they've made themselves a major target, and the U.S. won't be backing down anytime soon. Ovidio Guzman's arrest was one of the most shocking events in recent Mexican history. Known as one of the key leaders of Los Chapitos, Ovidio was captured in a dramatic operation in Culiacan, Sinaloa, in 2019. What followed is now infamously known as the Culiacanazo. In October 2019, Mexican security forces tracked down Ovidio Guzman and managed to capture him. At first, it seemed like a massive win in the fight against the Sinaloa cartel. But what happened next turned that victory into chaos. The moment the news broke, Culiacan descended into a war zone. Cartel gunmen flooded the streets, blocking roads with burning vehicles, and launching violent attacks against the military and police. For hours, the city was under siege. The cartel's firepower and quick mobilization were overwhelming. Ovidio's rearrest has sparked another set of rumors. this time about potential collaboration with U.S. authorities. Some speculate that Ovidio might be negotiating with the DEA or FBI in an attempt to reduce his sentence. The most interesting part of these rumors? The idea that he might be willing to provide information about his father's longtime associate, El Mayo Zambada. El Mayo, a legendary figure within the Sinaloa cartel, has long been seen as one of the masterminds behind the cartel's success. He's evaded capture for decades, operating in the shadows, while figures like ElChapo took the spotlight. If Ovidio were to hand over details about El Mayo, it could deal a significant blow to the cartel structure. Could Ovidio be planning to trade information about El Mayo and other high-ranking cartel members for leniency? Or is this just another layer of speculation surrounding his capture? Regardless, the rumors have added another layer of intrigue to an already complicated story. If true, it could lead to a major shift in the cartel landscape, not just in Mexico, but across the border in the United States as well. Ovidio's arrest marks a critical point in the ongoing saga of Los Chapitos. His fate, and whether or not he decides to cooperate with authorities, could shape the future of the Sinaloa cartel in ways we can't yet fully understand. The relationship between El Mayo and Los Chapitos, El Chapo's sons, has always been complicated. For a long time, they worked together to keep the Sinaloa cartel at the top of the drug trade. But as Los Chapitos started gaining more power, tensions began to rise. Some say it's a classic case of old guard versus new blood. El Mayo, with his decades of experience, might have been uneasy with how ruthless and flashy Los Chapitos were becoming. There have been rumors that the two sides have clashed over how to run the cartel. Los Chapitos are aggressive and violent, eager to expand their influence globally, while El Mayo is more calculated, preferring to stay out of the public eye. These differences have created a power struggle within the cartel. Some factions are loyal to Los Chapitos, while others continue to support El Mayo, who still has immense respect within the cartel due to his longevity and strategic mind. This tension has led to whispers of a split within the Sinaloa cartel. On one side, you have the loyalists to El Mayo, who prefer his steady, low-key leadership. On the other side are those who support Los Chapitos, seeing them as the future of the cartel. If this split becomes more pronounced, it could weaken the cartel, making it more vulnerable to outside attacks and law enforcement efforts. Internal conflict is something cartels can rarely afford, as it distracts from their main goal, staying in power and making money. Here's where things get really interesting. There are rumors that Ovidio Guzman, one of Los Chapitos, might be negotiating with the DEA and FBI. And what could he be offering? Information on El Mayo. If these rumors are true, it would be one of the biggest betrayals in cartel history. Ovidio, who's currently in custody, may be looking for a way to reduce his sentence. And turning over El Mayo, the last untouchable leader, could be his ticket. If Ovidio were to help bring El Mayo into U.S. custody, it would be a game changer. El Mayo has been the glue holding the Sinaloa cartel together. His arrest or death would leave a power vacuum, likely sparking even more violence as different factions fight for control. It would also mark a significant shift in how cartels operate, showing that even the most powerful leaders aren't safe from betrayal. The idea of Ovidio handing over El Mayo may seem far-fetched, but in the world of cartels, loyalty only goes so far. If it means saving himself, Ovidio might see this as his best option. And if El Mayo is betrayed, it would mark the end of an era for the Sinaloa cartel and could lead to a new wave of violence and power struggles across Mexico. While Ovidio Guzman often gets the spotlight, his brother, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, is just as important in the leadership of Los Chapitos. Joaquin, like his brother, has inherited the responsibilities of running the Sinaloa cartel after their father, El Chapo, was arrested. But unlike Ovidio, Joaquin tends to stay more in the shadows, making fewer public appearances and keeping a lower profile. There's been growing speculation that Joaquin may be involved in the rumored dealings with U.S. authorities. If Ovidio is indeed trying to negotiate with the DEA or FBI, it's likely that his brother isn't far behind. The Guzman family operates as a tight unit, and any major decisions, especially one that could reshape the cartel, would probably involve Joaquin. If Ovidio is planning to hand over El Mayo or work with U.S. law enforcement, Joaquin might be playing a key role in these negotiations behind the scenes.
A 2009 report claimed that the government was helping the Sinaloa cartel take over the Juarez Valley area from the Juarez cartel. Generally, El Mayo worked with the government to reduce competition, while the Sinaloa cartel would become more powerful because of little competition.
The question is, why would Joaquin consider working with the U.S. government? For one, there's the constant fear of arrest. Los Chapitos have been in the crosshairs of both Mexican and American law enforcement for years. With Ovidio already in custody, Joaquin may see the writing on the wall. Helping out the authorities might be his only chance to avoid a similar fate, or at least buy him some time. There's also the possibility that Los Chapitos are feeling the pressure from within their own ranks. The cartel is facing internal tensions with factions loyal to El Mayo Zambada, and this power struggle could push Joaquin to seek a way out. If Ovidio and Joaquin sense that their hold on power is slipping, betraying El Mayo could be their way of weakening a powerful rival and ensuring their own survival. Joaquin might also be motivated by a desire to secure his own safety and protect his family. The world of drug cartels is brutal, and there's always the risk of betrayal from within. By collaborating with the U.S., Joaquin could be trying to protect himself and his loved ones from the endless cycle of violence and revenge that defines cartel life. In a world where trust is rare, working with the DEA or FBI could be seen as a safer bet than relying on cartel loyalty. While it's impossible to know for sure what Joaquin is planning, the idea that he might join forces with Ovidio in cutting a deal with U.S. authorities is certainly a possibility. If both brothers decide to collaborate, it could change the entire landscape of the Sinaloa cartel and further shake up the balance of power in Mexico's criminal underworld. The idea of Los Chapitos taking on the U.S. government might sound bold, but how realistic is it? Los Chapitos control a massive drug empire with resources, soldiers, and influence stretching across Mexico and beyond. But when you compare that to the full power of the U.S. government, including military strength, intelligence networks, and law enforcement agencies like the DEA and FBI, it's clear who has the upper hand. The cartel may have the money and manpower to cause chaos, but the U.S. has nearly limitless resources. So, with all the threats, power struggles, and looming betrayals, do you think Los Chapitos actually stand a chance against the U.S. government? Or is it all just bluster to protect their empire? If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth content. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
Mico's down 10%.
So, what are we thinking? Buy the dip, get rich. Let's dig a little first. Dig? It's Mifu, a meat-based tofu company. Exactly. Get your head in the train.
Hey, it's Joel Walton with Electric Pro Academy. We have got an early look at a pre-production Jackery system. We're going to give you installation practices on the smart transfer switch and an honest look at the complete system. I will tell you, there are some features here that are unparalleled in class. So what I've done is an online calculation of my home to determine how much energy I need.
This video is brought to you by Jackery and Copperfield. Whether you're a DIYer or a professional electrician, Copperfield has a solution for you that I never knew existed. You'll want to stick around to see how they can help you.
Let's see the goodies in the shack. I'm really liking this right now. Jackery is like so on brand and noticeable, highly respected. I am seeing exactly what I expected in many cases. USB-C, USB-A, DC, AC power ports on, 120 volt across the front, total of 4 ports, that's great. We've got some serious jazz running down the side here. AC expansion, twist lock, NEMA 1450, let's go. And the casters are smooth, which is actually a huge help. I'm going to digress for a moment and show you. There's a bottom handle, yeah! Because these portable batteries are a beast. You can throw your back out if it's not ergonomically designed. And that companion handle, flip it on its side and get a twofer on it. Oh, such a big difference. DC import. I'm going to
2019 in Culiacan, the capital of the Mexican state of Sinaloa. The Mexican National Guard is conducting a raid at a nondescript house. Sinaloa is, of course, what would be considered the capital of top-level narcos. Its mountainous and lawless territory has long been a base for bandits and outlaws, though in recent years, some of the kingpins have barely bothered to conceal themselves. like the guy who's just been arrested at this normal seeming house. He happens to be Ovidio Guzman, son of legendary cartel leader Joaquin ElChapo Guzman. Ovidio bears a slight resemblance to his infamous father, but he's handsome, square-jawed, and short, just like his dad. He kind of looks like an annoying rich kid you'd see out of Miami, except, well, he's at the top of thousands of trained killers. Ovidio is one of 4 of Chapo's many children, collectively known as Los Chapitos, who have risen to the top to lead his faction of the powerful Sinaloa cartel after his final arrest in 2016 and eventual extradition. And getting captured by the Mexican National Guard is an amateur move on the part of the 29-year-old, especially in his home state of Sinaloa. But it's never a good idea to count this family out. And this time, the cavalry is coming. Within hours of him being detained, upwards of 700 cartel gunmen spread out across the city. Absolute chaos ensues. Roadblocks, fires, shootings. It's complete anarchy as Culiacan turns into a Mad Max-style war zone, leaving the entire city paralyzed and terrified. Scenes are broadcast all over social media, and the Mexican government is put in a tough spot. Things get so hectic that surrounded Mexican troops call Ovidio's brother Ivan on the phone, trying to calm things down. Ovidio tells him, "Tell them to stand down. I don't want chaos." But Ivan replies, "Hell no, we are coming to rescue you." A few years earlier, Ovidio had been indicted by the US for trafficking meth and marijuana. So if he gets locked up, there's a good chance he'll soon be joining his dad in ADX Florence. Not the kind of surroundings the so-called narco juniors have grown up accustomed to. The cartel sicarios are desperate to keep him free, and even start plotting to kidnap the families of soldiers and police. Some civilians are being held at gunpoint, others are fleeing for their lives. The battles last about 4 hours before, strangely, the sicarios and National Guardsmen meet up, some even shaking hands, and put their guns down. The president of Mexico, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, has decided to step in. He orders Ovidio set free immediately, saying that the violence isn't worth it for just one criminal. It's a stunning display of weakness for the state, one that's broadcast all over the world. In the aftermath of the aborted arrest of the Chapo heir, surprisingly, only 8 people are dead, 7 soldiers and 1 civilian, and a bunch wounded. But the message has been sent. Los Chapitos are willing to directly take on the state, and they're a force to be reckoned with in Mexico, even with their infamous father locked up in an American supermax with no chance of being let go. In fact, according to a Reuters special report on how the Chapitos built a fentanyl empire, in the ensuing months after Chapo's extradition in 2017, 13 police officers in Sinaloa are either killed or disappeared. To quote Reuters, that spree was the start of a shift in tactics within Guzman's Sinaloa cartel, according to 4 intelligence and security officials. One that signaled the arrival of a new force inside one of Mexico's most powerful drug syndicates, the Kingpin's 4 sons. This is the Underworld Podcast. Welcome back to the audio experience, where every week a British man by the name of Sean Williams and an American, me, Danny Gold, bring you stories of organized crime, disorganized crime, and everything in between from around the globe. We are 2 journalists who have each spent over a decade reporting in the field on topics of this nature, sometimes even successfully, and now you can listen to us drone on while you barely pay attention and scroll through Instagram. Make sure you DM her the fire emoji. It's going to start a great content. Sean, you just wrote 50,000 words in 1 week and a podcast episode. How's that working out for you?
Yeah, I actually wrote 15,000 words in a podcast in a week while solo parenting and slipping into a deep, deep depression.
Oh, my hero. My hero.
Okay.
As always, sorry, you sound so dejected but no, I'm proud of you. You did great work even without the solo parenting thing. Well done. You're a good man. As always, a quick plug for our Patreon, patreon.com/theunderworldpodcast, where you can sign up, and we usually post at least 2 bonuses a month that we've been slacking lately. We'll do interviews with journalists, shorter episodes, things like that. You can sign up on Spotify, Patreon, or on iTunes. Help us keep this going. Also, follow us, rate us, do all those things of that nature that we used to be ashamed to mention week after week, but we've since accepted that this is our reality now. If you listen to the show or even remotely follow the news, you know who ElChapo is. We've done episodes on him, on his friends, his colleagues, his enemies over the years, but you might not know much about his 4 sons who have since stepped into his shoes to lead his faction of the all-powerful Sinaloa cartel. Chapo reportedly has dozens of illegitimate children, much like my partner Sean Williams, but these are the 4 who have gone into the drug business and have gained the most prominence. They are brothers Ovidio, who you know from the Cold Open, and Joaquin Guzman Lopez, who have teamed up with their half-brothers, Ivan Archibaldo Guzman Salazar and Jesus Alfredo Guzman Salazar, to form Los Chapitos, which the name kind of sounds like I don't know, it does sound like a 4 Top sort of group or like mariachi bands.
I thought it sounded like a sort of like Midwestern pizza place.
Yeah, or like I guess Midwestern taco place, not pizza place. But yeah, Los Chapitos is their name. For those of you who don't know Spanish, that means the Chapitos.
Oh, okay. That was in the works for what, 2-3 months?
Yeah, I've been was really, I don't know if I delivered it right, but really, really proud of that one. So it's 2 sets of full brothers, and the full brother sets are half brothers with each other, if that makes sense, right? There was also a 5th brother, Edgar, but he was killed decades ago. We're going to get to him in a little bit. These guys, of course, these brothers have a very different upbringing from their infamous father. Chapo himself grew up dirt poor in the mountains of Sinaloa and dropped out of school in the 3rd grade to sell fruit on the side of the road. Ivan, who was the oldest, he was born, we think, in 83 or 84, when his dad was already a rising star in the Guadalajara cartel. He was already getting lots and lots of money. So these kids really wanted for nothing except for maybe, attention from their father, hugs, him to say he's proud of them. Things along those lines. By the early 90s, when Ovidio was born, their dad was bringing in hundreds of millions as the co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel, along with our previous podcast subject, El Mayo. We did 2 episodes on him that have been doing really well. So people are interested in that. If you go back a couple of weeks, you'll hear them. I think I plugged like 10 old episodes in this episode because we just have so many that we've done on these topics. Feel free, go back, listen to them all. So yeah, it's a very different childhood than many of the first generation traffickers who had to kind of claw their way to the top from nearly insurmountable odds, dirt floor poverty, that sort of thing. And they call the sons of traffickers who get involved in the family business narco juniors, which is, kind of defamatory, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, Narco Junior sounds like a footballer Chelsea going to buy for 120 mil. I mean, I should add actually while I'm on the subject, go England. Oh my God.
I was going to ask, right, Wednesday. Semis, what's that guy, Southgate, right? Don't you all hate him anyway?
It's like the weirdest thing ever. Everyone hates him and loves him exactly the same time. It's very British. We hate ourselves and we channel him.
And just like the Underworld podcast. So, Ivan, I'll cheer for you. Why not? I like the Netherlands too, but I want you to be happy and successful.
Yeah, go on. That'll make difference.
Yeah. Ivan, who is the rumored leader of Los Chapitos, and whose nickname is actually Chapito, was the first of the brothers to get in real trouble with the law. And while Sean Penn once characterized him as, quote, attentive with a calm maturity in his seminal piece on the Guzman family for Rolling Stone in 2016, Ivan was anything but attentive and mature in April 2004. That month, a young Canadian exchange student, a woman, and a Mexican guy she had just met that night were leaving a suburban Guadalajara nightclub. There had been a fight at the club with the guy. I don't think the woman was aware of it. Apparently, it was over the woman, so maybe she was aware of it. She was, like I said, a Canadian exchange student. Both of them are ambushed outside the club later that night by men in a red BMW. It's Ivan and his goons. They shoot them, both die. Authorities name Ivan as a suspect in that killing, but nothing ever comes of it. And it just seems like there's a couple of moments like this. It just seems like a bad Netflix series about the sons of drug dealers. Like that's the kind of thing they do. Get into a fight in a nightclub over a woman they don't know and then kill the guy who stands up for her, right? That's like it's cliche, and we can do better than that.
What are we thinking about attentive with a calm maturity? What do we think about that?
I don't think he displayed those characteristics that easily, and as we'll see later on. The following year, he gets arrested again, this time in true rich kid fashion, for flipping his SUV after leaving a party in that same Guadalajara suburb, which just sounds like it's nonstop, barrel of fun. In his car, the cops find drugs for partying, not for distribution, and weapons also for partying. This time, he's actually indicted for money laundering and organized crime offenses, but his bail of $50,000 is soon posted and he's released. But as soon as he's released, the cops detain him again for questioning on other charges, including some murders. The original charges against him actually end up not sticking due to insufficient evidence and high-powered cartel lawyers doing their thing, but he's still stuck in jail on those new money laundering charges. And while he's in jail, we get a psychological profile from the prison that was leaked to the Mexican news site Sin Embargo, which, yeah.
I should just say, if you don't speak Spanish, that means an embargo on your sins.
I think it means no embargo, right? But
it means no doubt, I think.
Yeah, it's a great name for a website that publishes this kind of thing. The profile describes Ivan as, quote, anxious, suspicious, reserved, and evasive, with veiled hostility. He becomes sensitive. Again, exactly like a young Sean Williams.
Okay, young.
In the anger management section, it says that Ivan positively channels his anger into recreational activities, such as car racing. But on the negative side, the profile says he shows probable psychological violence toward persons that he does not consider of his socioeconomic level. I mean, this is just, again, rich cartel kid cliche. Flipping cars when he's yacked up, fighting in clubs and murdering people over some woman he just met, and just being violent to people who he perceives as poorer than him.
Yeah, I do that too. I mean, there's not many on the streets, but I do that. It's a lot of fun. I should also say, I just looked up Sin Embargo because I was like, that's not right. And it means however, not without that Sin Duda. Real-time fact checking.
But sin means like no.
Without sin.
Oh, yeah. This is embarrassing. While Ivan is in jail, he complains to his dad that the jail is too cold, so ElChapo, being the attentive, good father that he is, he pays a huge bribe to get Ivan some sweats and thermals and stuff like that. He's actually ripped off by soldiers serving as his go-between with the prison officials, who jack the price up from, I think, $100K to $500K. When Chapo finds out, well, this is a family organized crime podcast, but the results are not so good and not the kind of thing that will get us banned on YouTube. In 2008, Ivan is finally formally charged and found guilty of money laundering. He's sentenced to 5 years, but soon after the verdict, he's surprisingly released from jail on appeal. There's multiple theories to why this occurs. One of them is that to get his son released, Chapo trades Alfredo Beltran Leyva to the Mexican government.
Craft together something special.
Since you're fired, Mighty Patch Pimple Patches reveal clear-looking skin overnight. Pimple, meet your Mighty Patch.
What made you want to leave Vermont? The work-life balance, unbeatable. More family time, more fun. And next week.
He's of the powerful Beltran Leyva faction of the Sinaloa cartel, who Chapo was allied with at the time. And we've gone into detail on quite a few podcasts on why, like the battle that results from that. I think in the Acapulco one as well, we talk about that. But the Beltran Leyva, they were very powerful. I don't remember how many brothers it was. I think it was at least 4. And they were sort of, they were beneath Chapo and El Mayo, but they were a very powerful faction, very well connected. When Alfredo's arrested, it causes a huge internal Sinaloa cartel war between the Beltran Leyvas and the Chapo Mayo faction, which Chapo and Mayo end up winning. There's another theory that's much simpler, that the judge was just bribed, to quote Forbes magazine. In a recent statement, the Federal Judiciary Council, Mexico's top federal judicial agency, said that it had opened an investigation on Judge Jose Luna Altamirano after determining that he had made bank transfers in the millions of dollars that were not reflected in his financial disclosures. The council said several family members also made large bank deposits.
Yeah, I mean, remember when Forbes actually did reporting? When was the last time they actually, when did they go under? It's so weird now, Forbes.
I mean, every magazine is going under, but the list, I think they still do the list, right? Which also, when they're doing the math for that, I think it's also sort of like speculation, not factual, but...
Yeah. Didn't Chapo make one of those lists?
Chapo did make it. I don't think Mayo's ever been on it. Everyone always says Mayo has more money than Chapo, but he somehow left off it. Now that Ivan is freed, he starts working more and more with his dad in the cartel. It's pretty typical sometimes in Mexican cartel families that their children follow their father's footsteps in the cartel game, which I don't know, kind of strikes me as, not great. The smarter organized crime bosses we've covered, they always want to seem to keep their children out of it. Like, why have them go through the same thing when they can just be movie producers or real estate developers, right? But alas, El Chapo is also following the path of his older pal and business partner, El Mayo, who had his sons and daughters follow him into the underworld. We don't know much about the dozens of other rumored Chapo sons, but from what we can tell, these 4 sons, the Los Chapitos, are the ones who gained prominence in the underworld besides Edgar, who we'll get to in a second. And following Ivan, those other 3 also enter the cartel when they become teenagers.
I mean, I'm guessing he's got plenty of help at home and he's not like worried about sharing the mental labor or whatever Instagram stories say. But like 12, 15 kids, that's just horrible, isn't it? I don't know. Like, even if you're not, you're looking after them, it just sounds shit. Maybe I'm just speaking from a particularly bad week.
I think he might be doing a better job than Nick Cannon, and I think they're around the same numbers. But they don't know how many kids Chapo has. I've seen 12, I've seen 15, I've seen dozens. I assume most of them, or many of them, are illegitimate, even though I don't know how you classify that. The known ones are basically the ones that we're talking about here. And speaking of those 3, besides Ivan, let's rewind a little bit to the childhood of Ovidio. He went to one of the most exclusive schools in Mexico City. And while little Ovidio was seen as a normal kid by his classmates, he went to the other children's birthday parties and participated in normal childhood stuff. The moms of his former classmates saw it differently. And that comes to a head when his grade is planning a trip to Disney, and the other mothers scheme to make it so little Ovidio is not included. His mother even offers to pay for everyone's trip, but he still gets denied. A day after the other children return from the Disney trip, they all find their mothers no longer have their heads attached to their bodies. And I made that up, but it's kind of dark. I don't know if I want to keep it. It's a little dark, but I just wanted to make sure that you were paying attention, son. But his mom does pull him out of the school after the great Disney debacle. And that's kind of all we know about his childhood. And this story, too, seems kind of made up to me, like a little iffy. I mean, I have to assume there were other connected families in this school. And this was probably around the late 90s, early 2000s. So Chapo wasn't like completely infamous yet. But still, I mean, who's going to single out and deny the kid of a top-level narco? Anyway, not much is known also about the other 2 brothers, Jesus Alfredo and Joaquin, their childhoods. But back to 2008, Ivan is released, Alfredo Beltran Leyva is arrested, and the Beltran Leyvas declare war on El Chapo. In the beginning of this war, they take out one of Chapo's sons, Edgar, who's a brother of Ovidio and Joaquin. Edgar was older. He was already poised to follow in his father's footsteps. He was well connected. He was the first of the sons to be heavily involved. And he had been running his own little operation, independently, kind of, like under their umbrella, but, getting his own contacts, his own logistics sorted, making his own money, and really, he was seen to be the heir to Chapo before he was killed. But 40 of the Beltran Leyva sicarios, they catch Edgar at night in a shopping center parking lot in Culiacan and gun him and his security detail down, even supposedly using bazookas in the ambush.
Yeah, well, I feel like that didn't get the crazy treatment like it is. Like, there's 40 guys, there's some of them carrying RPGs, and they're just hanging out at a mall parking lot like they're in GTA. Like, what the hell is going on there? And how was he walked into it?
Culiacan, man. I mean, it's like hunting. Like they've talked about this, not them specifically, but it's like hunting parties. They're going out looking to kill. They're on a mission to do that. After Edgar dies or is killed, Joaquin and Ovidio, they inherit their murdered older brother's connection, taking over a bunch of his trafficking relationships and getting all his drug money. That's actually according to the State Department, which classifies the 2 brothers as drug traffickers as early as 2008. And I think they're both pretty young at that time. Ovidio definitely is still a teenager. So, definitely a Nepo baby in that regard, really rose up to the top. The State Department calls them the Guzman Lopez Transnational Criminal Organization and says they work under the umbrella of the Sinaloa cartel, which is how the Sinaloa cartel works. We've talked about this before over and over. It's a collection of affiliated organizations that work together and share resources. It's not a completely hierarchical pyramid organization. El Mayo's got his guys, Chapo's got his guys, the Beltran Leyvas had their guys, and on and on and on. It's interesting though that these 2 guys, these 2 brothers who are sort of doing their own thing in a way, as opposed to just being directly under in El Chapo's organization. I'm trying to think of like an analogy that works, but maybe like if your dad owns a bunch of McDonald's franchises, and instead of like working under him at the office, he gives you a few restaurants to run on your own. Does that make sense? Does that work?
Yeah. Probably does more harm to the average punter's health as well. All right.
No, dude, I'm pro McDonald's. But it is interesting though that they were going out there, they were striking it on their own instead of, I don't know how that would work. I guess they would be lieutenants for him or something along those lines. I'm sure, they could call him up and ask for advice. In 2012, the US government designates Chapo as a kingpin, the top dog, through the Foreign Narcotics Kingpin Designation Act, aka the Kingpin Act, and Ivan and Ovidio are both named as key lieutenants to their dad. Now, just to reiterate one more time, because I know there's a lot of names flying around, Ivan and Jesus Alfredo are full brothers, and Ovidio and Joaquin are full brothers. So we get one brother each from the two sets identified as key lieutenants. So, these kids, they're working their way up, they're doing their thing, but they're about to be thrusted into a much more prominent role when Chapo was captured for the third time in 2016 and finally extradited to the US in 2017. Though I think, anyone who has seen Mystic River is willing to forgive Sean Penn.
I mean, yeah, but wasn't that all Andy Dufresne's work anyway?
Dude, no, that's the wrong movie.
Oh, damn. Wait, what's the Tim Robbins one? Isn't there a Tim
Oh,
Robbins?
no, you're right, Mr. River. No, you're right, Mr. Sorry, I'm doing off. Yeah, Tim Robbins was in Mr. River. You're right, great.
Yeah.
Incredible movie, though. Initially, when their father's arrested in January 2016, Los Chapitos are said to be under the protection of El Mayo as they start asserting themselves within Sinaloa. El Mayo is, of course, the co-founder of the Sinaloa cartel. And for those who haven't listened to our recent two-part series on him, he's one of the most powerful drug traffickers in Mexico's history, if not the most powerful. No one really knows what to expect with Chapo's heirs. They didn't claw their way out from the bottom, and they're obviously seen as the spoiled sons of the boss man. But with El Mayo overseeing things, this is when the four brothers kind of link up to form that one unit and become known as Los Chapitos. So around this time, there's now three factions in the Sinaloa cartel. We get the Chapo faction, which Los Chapitos come in to take over. Then we get El Mayo's faction, and again, he's sort of overseeing them a little bit. And finally, we get another faction led by Chapo's brother, the uncle of Los Chapitos, who does clash with the Chapitos as well. So Los Chapitos, they get off to a bumpy start trying to establish themselves independently in the drug world. After their father's arrest, in the summer of 2016, one of the four we haven't mentioned much on, Jesus Alfredo, he's kidnapped at a high-class restaurant in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, by the Jalisco New Generacion cartel. Some stories say it was Jesus Alfredo and Ivan, but CNN has it as just Jesus Alfredo being kidnapped. And according to them, quote, the kidnapping was an important development because it affects the power structure of the Sinaloa cartel. His son was supposed to be part of the new leadership. That's a senior Mexican law enforcement official said, referring to Jesus Alfredo. The article goes on to cite a source inside the investigation that says Jesus Alfredo was partying a lot and kind of not taking his role seriously and was caught off guard, which is typical, He's probably looking at his phone. The other gunman just rolled up to him, just not paying attention. And we've done an episode a ways back on El Mencho and Jalisco, the Jalisco New Generation cartel. But even for cartels, they are incredibly psychopathic and brutal. So not the kind of guys you want to catch you slipping.
Nah, not at all. Is it just so wild that this multi-billion-dollar business that's sort of stretching literally all over the world is run by this incestuous clique of guys from one place? I don't know. It just feels weird. I guess the Colombians did do their own thing in the day, but it always just shocks me how the South Americans didn't really try taking these Mexicans out and keeping the cash for themselves. Or maybe they did and they got killed, but yeah.
That ground round into Mexico, once they shut down Miami, that became the thing. And then the Mexicans just made so much that they, took everything over. But yeah, it's not just, you're not just talking about Mexico, right? Sinaloa itself. I mean, that's where a lot, not all the traffickers, but this one state, it's fascinating. Luckily for Los Chapitos, El Mayo kind of comes to the rescue, and Jesus Alfredo is released after being held for several days. It's kind of a mystery why they would release him and not kill a major leader in their biggest rival cartel. We can only really speculate on what the reasoning was, but El Mayo has been known throughout his career to be very adept at negotiating and brokering deals with rival cartels. There's also a wild rumor that El Mayo got El Mencho's son, El Mencho being the head of Jalisco, and said, if you don't release him, we're going to kill your son, which, it's a master negotiator move right there if you want to know how to negotiate. There's also another unsubstantiated rumor that he just kind of paid a ransom for him. According to Proceso magazine, which is a popular Mexican magazine, after this ordeal, Jesus Alfredo heads to Medellin. Did I do it right that time?
Yes, Medellin. I always get that wrong.
Medellin. For several months under the protection of a gang known as La Terraza, who are one of the most powerful criminal gangs in the area. They're a strong faction of a group that we've talked about before, La Oficina de Embajado. They were originally, I think, the enforcement wing of Pablo Escobar's cartel. And they broke off, I think, when he was killed. But we've talked about them with our guest Toby Muse, because when I visited Toby in Colombia in 2011, I want to say, we actually got to meet some of those guys. And he's interviewed them a bunch. He's well connected there. I think we talked about that in one of Toby's Colombia episodes. The magazine goes on to say that Jesus Alfredo was there for months, kind of moving between several apartments in the most exclusive parts of the city. He had a crew of 12 armed guys from La Terraza for protection at all times. He chauffeured around in like an armored or bulletproof truck to do some business. And it says the area is considered a safe place for top traffickers of the Sinaloa cartel, that they go there when they're having trouble at home, but not like, not like domestic issues. They mean people wanting to murder them issues, that sort of thing. Jesus Alfredo was apparently setting up some coke labs and working on money laundering, but still managed to party a bit because, it is Colombia, and even sponsored a local soccer team. At the same time this is going on, Los Chapitos are clashing with their dad's old right-hand man, Damaso, I don't even know how to say it, Damaso Lopez.
Yeah.
Shortly after their dad is locked up, they start squeezing Lopez, who had previously been in charge whenever Chapo was locked up. He was kind of getting filled in as the top level outside prison guy. According to Mexican Marines who spoke to Reuters, the Chapitos cut off Lopez's access to water in Sinaloa. I think they all get water from the same dam, which prevented him and his cartel faction from manufacturing drugs and seriously dented his finance.
Jesus Christ, it's like Cold War in North Africa or something.
Yeah, I mean, they're squeezing him too. I mean, there's gun battles, all that sort of stuff. And then in 2017, that's when those 13 police officers are killed or go missing in Sinaloa that we mentioned in the cold open. It turns out they were actually on Lopez's payroll, and Los Chapitos were picking them off. They're also doing this kind of sick, twisted things you expect from a terrible Netflix series again on Narco Juniors. Here's the Reuters special report again. Quote, one of the U.S. indictments unsealed last month details other grisly violence allegedly meted out by Los Chapitos. Los Chapitos, they went out. Lopez is actually arrested in 2017, extradited to the U.S., and later testifies against ElChapo. There's now speculation he has entered into witness protection. So if you're out there, give us a call. We'll do a little Patreon episode. Then in 2018, Jesus Alfredo actually makes the DA's list of the top 10 most wanted fugitives. That, along with this 2015 U.S. indictment that lists Chapo and Mayo and some other top cartel figures, but none of the other kids, besides Jesus Alfredo, has convinced some that he's actually the leader of Los Chapitos, even though Ovidio and Ivan get a lot more attention. And we'll learn why Ovidio is just kind of operating on a different level soon. He's actually a lot smarter than we're giving him credit for. I actually just checked the DA's most wanted list, and Jesus Alfredo is no longer in the top 10, while Ivan is. So, there you go. It's a bit more likely that Ivan might be the top one. So congrats are in order to him. So we haven't talked that much about the fourth brother, Joaquin, who is Ovidio's full brother, and that's for good reason. He keeps it tight. He's a very low profile, more like El Mayo than Chapo, I would say. So low profile that when the USA issued their first most wanted poster of him, they actually used the wrong photo of an uninvolved Chapo kid and had to re-release the poster with his actual photo. And while the other kids would eventually have 10 million bounties on their head, he only has a 5 million bounty on his head, which I think we can all agree is real amateur hour type stuff. In an interview with a Mexican journalist, Lopez's son, Chapo's, the guy we just talked about, Chapo's right-hand man who Los Chapitos fought, says that Joaquin's low profile isn't by accident. Quote, he told Ovidio, you do the negotiations, you give everything. But the one who had the last word was Joaquin. He does add, though, that this was several years ago, so maybe Ovidio has taken a bigger role since then and matured. And he goes on to say that Joaquin believed that he was the smartest brother of the four.
I mean, that's going to be a tense, drunken game of Scrabble at Christmas, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't turned on each other since, but who knows what can happen. So, yeah, we're roughly in 2019. That's when we have the cold open scene with Ovidio getting detained and Ivan and Los Chapitos getting freed by plunging Culiacan into anarchy and forcing the state to back down, which is a huge power move from them and seen as a pretty emphatic statement about hey, we're here and we are running things. In the chaos of Ovidio's release, there's some dispute with El Mayo's role. One Mexican journalist said that nothing happened in Sinaloa without the approval of El Mayo and that his own men were participating in everything. Others have said that El Mayo actually held his men back. We don't know exactly what happens, but after Ovidio is freed, Organizations connected to Los Chapitos began fighting organizations connected to El Mayo, which, you know, the way these guys conduct themselves could be random, but also seems a little more than coincidental. So they're kind of, you know, they're splitting at that point, the El Mayo faction and Los Chapitos. It's no longer this sort of like big, you know, your dad's friend helping you do work sort of a situation. There's also speculation that Los Chapitos seem to want to go at everything themselves. According to the website InfoBay, which I know has like a silly name, but it's not that kind of A. It has a ton of interesting stuff on the cartel wars always. Los Chapitos get into a prolonged battle with a key Mayan lieutenant known as La Russo, or the Russian, and his men. Apparently the Russian didn't participate in the attack to video, which pisses off Los Chapitos, and then they get into a battle over who has higher ranking. And to avoid a full-on war, Mayo orders the Russian and his men to move north, and they do, but the Chapitos continue the battle with Los Russos, the name of his squad, in other areas like Baja and Sonora. And this feud goes on for years with sort of like, you know, back and forth murders, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. On another war front, Los Chapitos get into a multi-year war with the Caborca cartel, which is led by Rafael Caro Quintero, who was one of the original cartel kingpins and partnered with Miguel Angel Felix, the original cartel boss in Mexico. Quintero famously murdered American DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena, and he somehow managed to bribe his way out of prison in 2013 after a judge ordered his release, well, led to a judge ordering his release, and then he went right back to work. Longtime listeners of the podcast too might remember when I was supposed to go to Altamira, Mexico, and spend some time in the compound of a high-ranking Sinaloa cartel commander by the name of El Durango. He was actually fighting the Caborca cartel for Los Chapitos with his squad, the Grupo Delta of Gente Nueva. Of course, the Mexican National Guard decided to absolutely ruin my entire career. And he was arrested about 5 days before we were supposed to fly to Tucson and cross the border into Nogales to meet his men. That episode is from March of 2023. It's called The Time the Mexican Army Ruined My Cartel Sleepover. And if you want, go back and listen to it to get the full story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still bummed out you and Boris Neufeld are best buddies as well. I wanna know more about that.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I have confidence that it'll work out with him eventually. Anyway, the main point to take away here is that Los Chapitos are in the mix, battling it out and asserting themselves, even versus sort of the old guard that were highly respected. And the second point is that the Mexican military absolutely does not want to see me win. Quintero, he doesn't last long either, and a year later in July of 2022, he gets arrested again, and the Chapitos take his territory, and in the days after their arrest, they kill a couple dozen people in Caborca and nearby towns. So yeah, they're expanding like crazy. We kind of have this image of them as these like spoiled narco kids who were going to be, you know, like a King Joffrey situation, or like whoever the new guy is in House of Dragon. Just like, you know, these kids who thought they knew it all and were going to be terrible. But it does seem at this point like they have a lot of wins and they're good at what they do. Obviously, they're terrible people, but as we're going to see, they have probably, you know, changed the game in terms of drugs coming into the U.S. But before that, they start making heavy investments right now in fancy weed. And the expectation is that weed is going to be legalized in Mexico soon. This is all according to Luis Chaparro. We've had him on a bunch. He's an incredibly talented journalist, so go follow him if you're not.
Yeah, Luis is great. I mean, it kind of seems like you're defeating the object if you legalize weed, but the weed industry is controlled by deadly cartels who traffic harder stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, possibly. But yeah, God, you know, legalize weed, I guess.
The Lost Boys tried to tell us in 1994, man, it's all about getting that legal drug money. But, okay, so they've set up high-end dispensaries all over Culiacan already. They're learning from the U.S. weed scene, and they're actively trying to brand and produce high-quality stuff. They also are shelling out money to lobbyists to get the Mexican government to legalize weed. So far, they aren't all the way there, but Mexico has made some progress legalizing medical weed in 2017 and decriminalizing recreational weed use for adults in 2021. But if they're anything like the weed stocks that I've invested in, they're down 90%, and the Chapitos should get out of that business as soon as possible. By the end of 2022, the Chapitos are also dominating the meth and fentanyl trade in Mexico. And a lot of the media on both sides of the border are starting to say they built an empire, a fentanyl empire. Reuters releases that special report in May of 2023 titled, "How El Chapo's Sons Built a Fentanyl Empire, Poisoning America." Quote, once dismissed as narco brats, flaunting fast cars, pet tigers, and a golden AK-47 on social media. The brothers have emerged as key figures in the violent Sinaloa cartel, security officials say.
Yeah, and I'm going to do something on this soon for the show as well, like specifically the way they use Chinese money laundering groups to watch their fentanyl cash. So, yeah, look out for that one. That'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. People love that stuff. Continuing with the quote from that article, the Chapitos pioneered the manufacture and trafficking of the deadliest drug our country has ever faced. And Milgram, the U.S. DEA chief, said at the April 14th press conference in Washington. That's April 14th, 2023. They inherited a global drug empire and made it more ruthless, more violent, and more deadly. Chapitos at this point are said to have stopped acting as a transshipment point for Chinese fentanyl. They've actually started importing the precursors themselves from China and opened up super labs all across Sinaloa. According to that Reuters report that cites the State Department, in 2008, Ovidio began smuggling chemicals from Argentina to make meth. And in 2014, he started trying to figure out how to do the same and make fentanyl. So maybe, you know, this kid, despite being a spoiled narco son, kind of is a criminal genius in that way. Here's more. The cartel can turn $800 worth of precursor chemicals into fentanyl pills or powder that reap profits as high as $640,000, according to one of the April indictments, which was filed in the Southern District of New York. That cash, U.S. prosecutors say, has bankrolled a war chest used by the brothers to bribe politicians and cops and finance an ever-growing army of sicarios, or hitmen, to protect their interest. Again, you know, the numbers, when you're looking at DEA reports or indictments, I'm never going to put 100% of faith into them, but like the markups, the margins for fentanyl, that's why people start selling fentanyl. The markups are insane, and if you're just buying the precursor chemicals and then doing that, you know, it very well could be somewhere in that neighborhood of like $1,000 to $500,000 in terms of profit. It's insane. Well, at least I guess it's $1,000 in buying the the chemicals, right? But there's
all the labs and shit.
Labor, gunmen, smuggling fees, and all that. So either way, they're doing okay for themselves. The Chapitos, like I mentioned earlier, they took issue with all these indictments and even went so far as to release an open letter for the first time, saying none of this was true.
How can any of that not be true?
I don't. It's definitely true. They've also tried to do some of the, you know, Robin Hood stuff that their dad was known for a little bit more. Like they built an outdoor school in rural Sinaloa during COVID. They're giving away washing machines and food. They have like concerts, things like that. But again, they don't have the most sterling reputation. Here's Mexican crime journalist Marcos Vizcarra. Quote, if people needed help under ElChapo, they got help. If somebody had a health problem, they found out about it, they would get them help. And from that feeling of protection came a sense of governance. Those Chapitos have created a super capitalistic environment. They only see production. They only see a labor force and nothing else. They've also done away with the previous kind of Sinaloa narco kingpin code of not selling retail in their home state and have been having the dealers sort of all work for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the reasons drug crime is so interesting, right? It's like, it's just the most ruthless, gloves-off version of the system we're all living in. I don't know, like, that's one of the reasons I find it fascinating, because you know who those real criminals are, right, Danny?
Those crooks in Congress?
Those crooks in Congress, correct.
No, I mean, look, there's ruthlessness, I think, does not get you to the top. I think these guys are also brilliant in ways that, you know, the kind of thing you see in like Fortune 500 CEOs, which as much as people want to pretend like it's not a, you know, you're making decisions every single day that affects,
yeah,
especially if you're a drug lord, you know, lots of people, how the company's going to function and all that. And it's pretty much just like constant decisions, constant logistics, and you have to just problem solve nonstop. And it's not an easy thing to do. Ask anyone who tried to sell weed in college. Like, it's a lot of headache and hassle. So rising to the top of a drug lord, like, look, some of them are complete ruthless psychopaths. Mencho is a good example of that. Zetas, all that sort of stuff. But they have to be proficient. You can't just be ruthless. I mean, that will be the sicarios or the enforcers or things like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the head like these guys are. So by the end of 2022, Los Chapitos, they're looking pretty good. Inside Crime even names them their game changers of the year in 2022. But the good times do not last. Ovidio is arrested again at the start of 2023 and is grabbed by the Mexican military in a rapid raid on the outskirts of Culiacan, involving helicopter fire and hundreds of soldiers. 19 sicarios and 10 soldiers are killed in the gun battle. Los Chapitos go back to the same sort of tactic of starting to cause chaos there. They're lighting up roadblocks on fire and shooting at commercial planes at the airport on the runway that were taking off. But this time the army is prepared, and Ovidio is quickly transported to Mexico City right after the raid, and the chaos kind of stops once a picture of him pops up, of him getting off the military helicopter in Mexico City. This is obviously a pretty big blow for Los Chapitos, and it gets worse when Ovidio is extradited in September of 2023. So that's a wrap for him, but we'll see if he ends up testifying. In the summer of 2023, narco banners start to go up in Culiacan, with the Chapitos saying all fentanyl production must stop and people who violate the ban are going to be executed. The U.S. is not taking the fentanyl epidemic quietly anymore, and the pressure is on. And even with AMLO not exactly being full on in terms of battling the narcos, it does not bode well for Mexican narcos or kingpins when the U.S. is that laser focused.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing it'll be more of the same on the Scheinbaum as well. But when does she come in? It must be soon, right? Like she's kind of his protege.
Right. So I think that it might be the same, but obviously, there's going to be immense pressure because the fentanyl stuff is not slowing down, and I'm surprised it hasn't been a bigger conversation topic in the election season, but I'm sure it will ramp up. But yeah, I can't picture them letting up the pressure at all on stopping that. So yeah, initially it seems like they are serious about this. There's like 50 fentanyl producers who I think were killed by sicarios that the Chapitos sent out to enforce the ban. But the ban isn't really a ban as the production just migrates north. So it's away from Culiacan and closer, and not just Culiacan, away from Sinaloa and closer towards the border. In November of 2023, the Chapitos take another big hit when their security chief, who goes by the name of El Nini, is arrested. And the day after he's arrested, a top distributor for the Chapitos is gunned down in California. El Nini was just extradited a few weeks ago to the States, so if he talks, it'll of course lead to some more major issues for them, and we should get some really interesting information on that. If he does, which I think he probably will. But these arrests don't really seem to be doing anything to Chapitos' overall operation. A Mexican defense analyst says, quote, "The adjustments will be in the closest circle. I don't see another criminal group that could dispute their position of power," which is kind of crazy. I mean, that's where we're at. I think, I'm not someone who is laser focused on the cartel wars like our friend Lewis or other reporters, but I definitely did not expect Chapo's heirs to sort of be able to assert themselves and really be as strong as they are. I figured once he died, the whole thing was split up. And the Sinaloa cartel has pretty much split up. It doesn't really exist anymore. But Los Chapitos have emerged as powerful players. I guess you could kind of call them, although El Mayo's around as well. It's split into different factions that do their own thing, but they're not the expected spoiled loser narco junior sons who screw everything up that I think a lot of people assume they're going to be. They've taken some hits, but they're still pumping out fentanyl and meth, much like a young Sean Williams on a Tuesday night in Berlin, and that does it for this.
There's the hat trick.
I was thinking of you. There's another podcast, I forget what it's called, but someone recommended to me, and it's called Why My Friends Phil and Steve Didn't Get into Berghain. So if you guys don't know, Berghain is like the biggest, probably the most famous club in the world at this point.
Yeah.
But I was listening to it, and it's kind of like, it's actually really interesting because it goes into the history of techno and Detroit and East Berlin and West Berlin and these parties, how it started, and then Berghain's history. But the whole time they're talking about how hard it is to get into all this stuff, and I'm like, my friends got it every time. But
Man, I've never been turned away.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got the look.
I got the look. I got that sunken, dead, pallid, disgusting complexion. Yeah.
We should do an episode called Why Sean Always Gets into Berghain. All right. Anyway, that's enough from us. Thank you guys, as always. Patreon. I don't know, man. Just keep listening. If you do Patreon, if you don't, give us a follow. Support us. Support our sponsors. And have a great week.
One of the disturbing, very disturbing, and blatant abuses of government in Project 2025 is the idea that they want to track women's pregnancies, they want to track where they're going, they want to track everything. What could be more repulsive than the government watching my daughter and granddaughter and trying to control their bodies and what they're doing with their lives?
Ollie's deals are so good, you won't believe the prices.
Can this crap be real?
This has to be a joke. It's no joke. This store is amazing. You have to see it for yourself. Ollie's Bargain Outlet sells famous brand name merchandise at up to 70% off the fancy store prices. Bargains on housewares, toys, bed and bath, books, food, gifts, and so much more. Hurry in to get the deals now, because when they're gone, they're gone. Ollie, good stuff, cheap.
Feds are investigating one of the largest drug
You came to steal your tail.